Sons of Thunder is a pretty cool name for a channel, though.
Look at that. We're on time. Welcome back to Sons of Thunder, everybody. Today, we're going to wrap up our deep dive into Mormonism. This doesn't mean we're never going to talk about Mormonism again. We will. We'll still do call-ins, and we may do some, specific Mormon videos from time to time. But as far as like a series is concerned, this is the last part of our series where we're going to wrap up. Chase has put together with Chris as well a list of his best arguments or favorite arguments against Mormonism, and we're going to talk about that tonight.
We're proud of that.
We are.
And we're proud of that.
Thank you, Ali Dawa. Guys, how you doing?
I'm apparently laggy as soon as I opened up the stream.
Oh, these things are new. I feel like we're always laggy a little bit.
True.
To be fair, I am running a lot of stuff at the moment on my machine, so it might just be redlining. 99% GPU usage at the moment.
91%.
Oh no, 99. Now it's at 95.
Oh shoot.
I think your computer's about to catch on fire.
Yeah.
It's calming down. It's back up. It's at 75 now.
Okay.
Google Chrome is now using 30% of it, which is impressive.
Wow.
Yeah. So I might actually close, or I can pop my chat out. Okay, I am indeed running a local AI. That is in fact what I'm doing. Or should pop out chat?
Chase, did you see this comment?
There we go.
Deuteronomy 18:20.
Look it up.
Oh, what do you mean? A prophet will not arise. That's 18:18. Deuteronomy 18 and verse 20. But the prophet who speaks a word presumptuously in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or which he speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall lie. I mean, they would just argue that they're speaking on behalf of God and that they never spoke presumptuously.
Oh, he said no, it's the one about false prophets. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the passage does apply to him, but a Mormon would not admit that, right?
Right.
Unless they have the cojones.
Chase, did you put it together in like a document? Did you share that with me?
Oh, I did. I never shared it with you, did I?
No,
Here,
it's okay.
I can share it with you. Well, I figured I would mostly be going through like the arguments and putting them on screen, and then we would just talk about it, but I can send you
that's fine. If you want to do that, that's perfect. Just pull it up.
A Claiborne Wilson.
Can I ask a question that's going to throw us off of right in the beginning? But I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this all day, and I just want to get your guys' opinion as
he's got an RTX 5090.
Yeah.
Good night.
No, he's making fun of me. I'm a machine learning engineer. That's what my trade is. I do medical research with AI. And I have a 4090, so not quite a 5090, and it is in fact struggling under local AI because I'm running a variational autoencoder training on 1.2 million ECGs to reconstruct the entire signal off of 90 data points. It's pretty based. Got published on it. It's pretty cool. Anyway, it is currently running full bore. So yeah. The world's smallest violin. This was a $6,000 machine, I think.
So I have an RTX 3070, and it's kind of fine.
Yeah,
I don't know. The 3070 still holds up, even in the big 26. So no reason to change.
DJ also said about the one about the temple in Missouri. It's funny. In another video, in another video, we spent a significant time on that issue, only to be told it wasn't an issue, and we just didn't know what we were talking about. And that,
right,
because that's the same one that Sandwich Boy was like, no, it's not this is about the future. You don't got to worry about it. It's just preparing the way. There's still a thing there. Anyways, before we get on to the main topic, just because I just saw a TikTok, Chase, you'll appreciate this, that someone said that Buggy the Clown would be the most broken character in One Piece if Oda wrote him properly. Like if he had like hockey, he'd actually be, and his Devil Fruit awakened, he'd be completely broken as a character because nobody could stop him.
I mean, he is an emperor.
Right, but he's an emperor for the wrong reasons, Chris.
Yeah,
he's not exactly an emperor for the correct reasons. Also, spoiler alert, that's not true at the beginning of the show. So we're just going to gloss over the fact that Chris spoiled that.
If someone has not seen One Piece, you're not going to start at this point in time.
No, that's not true. One Piece fans are being added every day.
You're either in it or you're not at this point. That thing is way too long for the casual anime enjoyer.
But I mean, think about it. That was true whenever I was just getting into One Piece too. Like it was too long ago, So like I still wouldn't have desired any spoilers, which by the way, somehow I did a fantastic job of avoiding spoilers throughout my entire life. Like I saw images of Gear 5 and that was it. Like I didn't know what it was.
That's a bigger spoiler than what I'm talking about.
That's kind of something that everyone sees. It's in all the games. I'm pretty sure it's in Shonen. Yeah, it's in Jump Force. So it's
okay.
Again,
following
that
train of logic,
you're not in it.
I had this thought. So Sue Storm from the Fantastic Four, I mean, she could create like fields, barriers, right? Like barrier protections.
She just like Thanos snap you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it not like unrealistic that she could like think about someone's brain and just like put a barrier around their brain and stop all blood flow to the rest of their body and they would just die? Okay.
Or just inside the brain and jiggle it a little bit, and then there's not much of a brain left.
Like Bardo's Devil
my
Fruit
brain
power.
is as strong as steel. Yeah, no. Dude,
glad we're all in agreement that is absolutely possible. Law's Devil Fruit is broken, and another one that doesn't get written correctly. That if it
he does not get written correctly,
he absolutely could be broken.
Kid gets overwritten, and Law gets underwritten. in terms of his Devil Fruit power, you're like, I don't think magnetism what? But then Law's Devil Fruit is like, I don't know, I can do whatever I want if I'm in the operating room.
Yeah.
It's like wait. But also it carries over to the outside of the OR. So it's like, wait. What?
Yeah. All right. I will document 836 when we get into the actual topic. All right, Chase, go ahead and pull up the argument. I just wanted to see if we were all on the same page about that, because I've been thinking about it for like 2 days now. That's a good question.
Good question.
That's Buggy versus Law would be like the
if they were correct
match.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Because it wouldn't matter what Law does, because
the problem becomes
Buggy.
The problem becomes
he's a clown. Okay,
you see, Law can only use his power so much.
Yes.
Whereas it doesn't look like Buggy gets exhausted whenever he separates his body parts from himself. So it's not like
liar.
It's not like he's, I don't know. Anyways,
hold on. What? This is Buggy the Cloud.
Right.
Yes. He's very menacing. Okay. He
honestly, he had
his limbs can detach.
Hang on. He had a glow up. Yeah. This here. Well, it's really small. Hang on.
You can go full screen on it.
Well, it's so small. Like, I guess you could probably see that. So he had a significant glow up.
That is terrifying.
In this, when he like separates all of his appendages, he actually does look kind of cool. Like, I won't lie, this is a acceptable use of his power, because he makes himself just massive. And he's got the hair. So
click on one of the live action versions. That's even
absolutely
scarier.
not. I'm good. No reason. No reason. But yeah. Anyways, so Mormonism, oddly enough, doesn't have much to do with One Piece.
Excuse you. Joseph Smith was a treasure hunter. So
That's
first
true.
of all, it has everything to do with One Piece. He was also looking for the One Piece.
Dude,
he's basically a pirate.
I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the Book of Mormon it says at the beginning of the Great Pirate Age, Gold Roger. Anyway, my treasure, go find it. Anyways,
the Prophet Muhammad said, "I've hidden all of my treasure."
It's there in the Grand Line. Go find it. Anyways,
he left it in the Americas. Oh my gosh!
Joseph Smith found the One Piece was his third and fourth wives. Anyways,
it was in Independence, Missouri. That's why he cared about it so much.
Yeah, dude.
The Prophet Muhammad hid his treasure in Independence, Missouri for Joseph Smith to find.
He was hoping that while they were doing the dirt work for the temple for Zion, that they would find the One Piece.
Find Gold Roger's gold tablets.
Well, so you see, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, I do that every Monday.
Can you pull up his?
That's my Monday stream. Is we do Bible studies live for people to ask questions and think about the Bible and discuss the Bible, go into typology, fulfilled prophecy, evidences, all that stuff. So once a week, every week, I put out hours of content on strengthening Christianity, strengthening the Ummah of the true Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Right. So here's what I'm saying. Why not focus on strengthening those of your own faith? Well, I would say that arguing against other religion in turn makes the faith of the person holding the religion advocated for to be stronger. Also, we had this conversation earlier today. It would be very unloving of me to not share the true gospel of Jesus, right? It would be very unloving of me to not show you the falsehood within the man-made religions of the world and to present the real Jesus before people. So I cannot take your advice. Yes, you are in effect advocating for your own religion by showing the falsehood of others. Yes, indeed.
Based. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, we believe that exposing darkness is what is necessary because we also want to lead other people to the truth. And so while we do believe in doing streams where we specifically talk about Christian topics and issues, we do those every other week with apologetics trainings and streams that are for strengthening up the believers. We also believe that we should take time out to specifically talk about false beliefs. And so that's why we do stuff on Islam. So we do stuff on Mormonism, atheism, because we want to see those people come to know the Lord. So that is why we do what we do. Oh, man. Okay. Do you have your list pulled up?
Yeah, I do. I think we're going to go 5-1. Not because I hate starting off with my favorite one.
Do you want to share
I want to make
screen,
sure.
or do you want me to keep
Well, I will when I get to things that.
Oh,
so I mean,
okay,
I'm there. So here. So
don't mind me.
5 arguments. So we'll go from. So I'll go ahead and list them all now from favorite to, number 5. Anyways, number 1.
These guys don't even believe in Messiah, Ben Joseph.
So number 1, probably my favorite argument against Mormonism would be the Book of Abraham. What it is, the fact that the LDS Church has gone through such pains to hide what it actually is and what Joseph Smith claimed about it and all these kinds of things. I find it very shisty at most, or shisty at best, disingenuous at most. I'd say that my number 2 favorite argument, not necessarily as something intellectual, mostly just as something to show you that your prophet is morally objectionable. So Joseph Smith was a morally objectionable person. I would not, I would probably vote for Joe Biden right before Joseph Smith. I don't know. We might have to see on that one. But I think he was just not a good dude. So that's argument number 2. Argument number 3 is Joseph Smith's false prophecies. The reason this isn't higher on the list is just because of the level of interpretation that LDS members will point to and say, well, this could be interpreted this way. This could be so like there's a lot to slog through before you can actually convince someone that, hey, this is a false prophecy. And from my experience, very, very seldom can you actually do that. But to me, it's very clear evidence that he's like with Muhammad, right? His false prophecies, they can be easily written off as allegory by people who follow him, but not so easily by people who don't.
Yeah, we're too close to the events.
This one is actually surprising. Well, it's not surprising to me. It's surprising how little or anything. But the Book of Mormon claims that there were things in pre-Columbian America that weren't there. So horses is a big one. There were not horses in pre-Columbian America. So we'll just get that out of the way. Chariots. Well, if there weren't any horses, then there sure as heck weren't any chariots to pull them, right?
Well, they were using bison, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Domesticated bison. Third, steel. Nope. That was not a thing. Was no steel in America. Last, elephants. Okay, I'm going to include elephants. There were species of mastodon, obviously, throughout America. The problem is that it's not really in the same way that it's described. I don't have it really in the list, but it's just very odd to me. I'm like, I don't think, no. But I digress. And then last but not least, everyone's favorite, Native Americans aren't Jews. So that's kind of that's number 5. Bro.
Same old
good.
Tropes.
I'm good. Boring.
I mean, that's
then leave.
The point of the point of it is, if you can't disprove these same old tropes, there's a point of why they still exist and why they're still the consistent arguments.
Dude sounds like a Muslim for real. Just then this isn't for you. Hey, go ahead. Now have a laugh. Hang out. But anyway, so those are my top 5.
Wait, you don't claim natives are Jews?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. You should.
You do, in fact, claim that Native Americans are Jews. And I would like to show you that, because this is have me on. You can't just come up here and debate.
Well, we do call-in streams. We'll be doing one this Friday night. So you are absolutely welcome to come call in on Friday. Oh, nope. Okay. Hey,
yes, you do.
Oh, he meant no. Yeah. Go ahead and pull it up, Chase. Whatever you got, pull it up.
Yeah. Okay. So Doctrines and Covenants 54. So here's where we'll break in. We'll break in with number 5, which is Doctrines and Covenants. Oh my gosh, if he's gonna keep spamming though. Doctrines and Covenants.
I'll just go ahead
54.
and say this, David McFarland. If you spam the chat, we will kick you.
Yeah.
You are more than welcome to have your points and say what you want, but if you spam like 50 messages, we're just gonna kick you.
So this is kind of a commission. So, well, we'll just read here. So, revelation given through Joseph Smith, the prophet, to Newell Knight at Kirtland, Ohio, in 1831. Members of the church living in Thompson, Ohio, were divided on questions having to do with the consecration. That doesn't have anything to do with it. But he's essentially, he's not condemning, but commending Newell to service. And he says here in verse 8, unless you shall take your journey into the regions westward unto the land of Missouri, unto the borders of the Lamanites. So who are the Lamanites, David? The Lamanites are Jews. They are Jews, right? That's not a controversy. These Lamanite people are Jewish, of descent from Joseph. I don't know if he says if it's Ephraim or Manasseh, but it's from Joseph. The Lamanites equals Al-Zut. Anyways, what do you mean? No, they're not. The Lamanites are 2 Jews.
Hey, Eric.
Oh, we don't think that. Okay. Okay. It doesn't matter if you think that or not. This is
DNC 54.
It says. Bro, what are you talking? Oh no, your argument's bad because we don't think that. So who cares? You're just wrong.
What do you mean you don't? Yeah, I mean, you may not have heard that before, but this is actually no. I'm not saying you affirm all Indians are Jews, but you do. Yes, we do affirm Jews to be among the ancestors of Native Americans, specifically in Doctrines and Covenants 54. The westward unto the land of Missouri. So the land of Missouri borders the land of the Lamanites. So we can assume that it's probably west of Missouri, the immediate vicinity there. The immediate vicinity, at least there, is where the Lamanites were found. Just throwing it out there. I mean, that seems to be the very clear reading. Am I missing something, Chris, Andrew?
No, I mean,
no.
Nephi was a Jew. They're the brother of Nephi.
Land of Missouri, under the borders of Lamanites. I mean,
right.
It's saying that. To me, this is saying they already were established in Missouri.
Yeah,
right?
so yeah, they're in Missouri.
So they were Jewish natives, and I'm sorry, but genuinely, it does not matter if or if not you teach that. This is what your religious text says. So you can tell me you don't teach it. Who cares? Who cares if you don't
be experts?
It'd be like Muslims saying that we don't believe in child marriage. The Quran explicitly allows and teaches child marriage. So you're denying something that is explicitly taught, that Lamanites are from the family of Nephi, and they're all Jews. So the original people were Jews, and they came to America as Jews, and then they bred and spread. It's all Jews.
Lamanites are non-Christian natives.
That's not true.
So you can just say every Native American is a Lamanite.
Right. Here's what I'm going to say. So you could say, well, Chase, unto the borders of the Lamanites, you could say, well, that just means the ancestral, like what was the borders of the Lamanites.
That was so funny.
The Quran does not teach against child marriage. Fun fact. Why? Like, okay, Nick, I love you to death. You've had some of the worst takes in our chat. I won't lie.
Oh man,
he's not really a Muslim. He's a very strange fellow. I feel like he's a Gnostic who identifies as both Mormon and Muslim at the same time.
I can laugh if I want to, David. Here's the thing.
What a combination.
He's an interesting fellow. Interesting fellow. By far the strangest person I've met.
Well, this just means what was the borders of the Lamanites, but they're no longer there. So the modern Native Americans are not Jews. Well, you are more than welcome to look this up. The problem is I couldn't find a good way to link to this, but it's in the History of the Church, Volume 1, page 315. Clears a lot of things up for us. This is also signed by Joseph Smith. This was one of the things that he said he wrote specifically. It says, the Book of Mormon is a record of the forefathers of our Western tribes of Indians. So it's not all the Indians, right? Probably a lot of the Blackfoot, Eastern America, not included. Fine by me. Having been found through the ministration of an holy angel and translated into our own language by the gift and power of God after having been hid up in the earth for the last 1400 years, containing the word of God, which was delivered unto them. By it, we learned that our Western tribes of Indians are descendants from that Joseph which was sold into Egypt, and that the land of America is a promised land unto them, and unto it all the tribes of Israel will come, with as many of the Gentiles as shall comply with the requisitions of the new covenant. So he makes it very clear that not only are they descendants of Israel, but of which tribe in particular, and that is of Joseph. I would be. I feel like I should have. I should have linked to it. So I'm gonna find it real quick. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna go.
Comments are so good right now.
I'm gonna find it.
So funny.
I put David in timeout for 5 minutes because he was just annoying me. So
real.
We're gonna wondering why the chat got a little quiet for a second.
At least I'm
look just peace resting.
At least I'm not white, I swear, is actually giving us pushback. That's, I would say, is from an informed position. David's just spamming the chat, being like ignorant.
Well, I'm white. I'm not white, I swear. From what I just read, that's not what you said, right? Because what you said was specifically, and I'll pull it up. So being Lamanites does not mean they are Jews. Lamanites are any Native Americans who are not followers of Christ.
And then he then said that's the linguistic marker. It's distinguished in the Book of Mormon. It specifies Lamanites to be those who are not friendly to the people of God.
Well, that would be a pretty interesting interpretation, but this is not found in the Book of Mormon. This is found in the History of the Church. I'll pull up BYU Studies. I don't remember which chapter it's in. I should have just found this one. I totally could have linked.
Aren't the Nephites also just Jews living in America?
196.
That's
like
what
the Lamanites are the ones that got the blackness to it, but it's still, you don't have any Jews in America.
No.
Up until the settlers came, like hundreds, 1,000 plus years later. 2,000 years later, if I remember correctly.
Okay, hang on. I'll find this quote real quick. Sold into Egypt. Yep, here we go. So here's your
Nick.
Here is your official book. So this is from BYU. Weird Drew Yankovic, Mormon Paradise. Come on, Drew. Here we have. So this is of signed to Joseph Smith Jr. The Book of Mormon is the record of the Western tribes of Indians, of the forefathers, sorry. They are descendants of Joseph, which was sold into Egypt. Unless you're going to convince me that there was some other Joseph that was sold into Egypt. I don't know who else this could be.
I don't.
But they don't teach that.
Oh man,
No,
they don't teach it.
No, because it's it's embarrassing and it's wrong, right? So here, and that's one of the reasons why I have this linked. Ta-da! Wikipedia. Anyways, yeah, we'll do. No, we don't. Thank you. It says here, indigenous American populations descend from and share ancestry with an ancient East Asian lineage which diverged from other East Asian peoples prior to the last glacial maximum. They also received gene flow from ancient North Eurasians, a distinct Paleolithic Siberian population with deep affinities to both European hunter-gatherers and basal East Asians. So essentially what that means is from Eastern Asia, so like the islands, Polynesia, not really Japan, mostly mainland Asia and then the islands. And then also from Siberia, so when things were a little bit closer together and things would freeze over, apparently these Siberian people migrated across ice to America, which is apparently true. That doesn't account for a lot of them. It doesn't account for most. I think it's like less, maybe about 10% of Native American people are like Eastern European. But regardless, long time ago, right? You know, way before a lot of the things that are claimed about Mormonism ever, way before a lot of the claims of Mormonism ever happened. So there's no evidence of any Semitic ancestry within within the Americas. So yeah,
it says East Asians are the Jaredites,
but they're not the Josephites, are they? Because that's what Joseph Smith claimed. Are they descended from Ephraim or Manasseh? Because if not, man, dude, it's Jacob Hansen's brother Adam. I'm just messing.
No,
I don't particularly want your phone number.
you don't have to put your phone number in chat. I think it would get spammed.
It does say the lineage.
David, we'll be live on Friday this week. You can,
Chris,
we'll have a call-in line and everything, and you can call in. Tonight we're not doing call-ins, but you can call in on Friday, and we can talk.
Chris, what does the highlighted part mean to you?
By it, we learn that our Western tribes of Indians, Native Americans, are descendants from that Joseph which was sold into Egypt. This is because they were Nephites / Lamanites, which are from the tribe of Joseph, which exiled there after the destruction of the first temple. By boat, supposedly. So none of that is true, but that would make them explicitly of the tribe of Joseph, both those who were not cursed with black skin and those who were cursed with black skin.
True.
So,
which is another interesting aspect. That's another doctrine that changed. Was the cursing of black skin and what that actually means.
Sure.
The LDS Church has had different.
Like black people were fine.
78, yeah. They said, well,
78.
Well, actually, you know, they can be grafted.
People, I guess, are not like
just fine.
Cursed to hell. Yeah. Only took 100 years. Over 100 years.
What information have we gotten incorrect? I just started.
David,
what
the
things that I said are not correct?
So David, I need you to lock in. Okay. Honestly, hold on. We need to get this out because like it feels like you came into this completely disingenuous. You don't actually want to listen to anything we're presenting. You just want to make fun of us, talk about how we're not experts, talk about how we're not scholars. And so our opinion doesn't matter. We're not giving you opinion. We're reading your sources. We're reading your sources. That's what we're doing. We're reading and presenting. You can call us not scholars all you want. We're reading what you all have available. This is your stuff.
Right.
And in your own things, it says Nephi's and Lamanites are descended from Joseph. I genuinely, David, I do not care what you think the church teaches. This is what it says. It says they were descended from Joseph. If you want to cope, you can cope. I don't care. That's what it says. Don't try and gaslight us into thinking that's not what it says. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. Hearing these people say, no, we don't believe that. We don't teach that. We don't believe that. Then why does it say that?
Yeah.
Why does it say that? Your individual church might not teach that. At one point, this was what they taught and believed.
Andrew, you don't understand. They're spiritual children of Joseph.
Ah.
Right. And what that means,
gets out of it.
We don't know. We don't know. But hey, didn't you hear about those Roman coins they found on the East Coast? Anyways,
of course.
That still gets me.
That was still compliment.
That's still one
of my
favorite things. You mean the
empire that didn't exist whenever they came over?
Yes,
in
that's
600
still
BC?
one of my favorite things that anyone has ever said on our channel. It's like, well, we have evidence of Jews. There's Roman coinage on the. It's like, wait a minute. Yes, you did come in at a critical point.
The Roman Empire that didn't exist until 27 BC.
I feel like it's, to me, confronting Mormonism.
Yeah, he's not interested in actually learning anything.
I feel like whenever I engage with Mormons or I engage, this is one of the things that I would say Muslims are good at, is that if nothing else,
Nick is just
Chris, you might as well quote your popes. What I'm saying is that Mormons have this in common with many different groups that I engage with. Most notably, like Calvinists. Whenever I try to engage with their point of view, inevitably they will say that, well, that's not real Calvinism, or that's not real Mormonism, right? Muslims are actually generally, by and large, pretty, standardized. Like a lot of them are like, oh yeah, what you're saying is right. But like, it's every time it's like, well, that's not real Mormonism. It's like, oh, my fault. Joseph Smith was not a real Mormon. Yes, the no true Scots Mormon fallacy.
Mormon.
The no true Mormon fallacy.
Yeah. Well, Brigham Young,
no true
man.
Communist, not true Mormon.
One to Mormon.
Oh yeah.
George Washington, undoubtedly Mormon.
Undoubtedly black.
Anyways, so there's that. That is argument number one.
Always in a cave.
And I feel like this one
always a private revelation.
I feel like this one should take the least amount of time, because I think this next one is really going to be interesting, because not a whole lot of people know about this. So I think we can very confidently say Native Americans, and no subset of them, are descended from Jews. I think we can confidently say that. I think that is true. And I think that if we can't trust the genetic studies that we've been doing, then what can we trust? Because genetic science is, it's getting preciser all the time, but it's always been a fairly decently, precise study, even back before we had like DNA and RNA tracing between people groups. it was still very apparent that Native Americans did not function in any way, shape, or form similarly to any Jewish group throughout the world, including when they supposedly came over. So, we have just no evidence of that. What we have less evidence for is horses. I call this one Horses, Chariots, Steel, Oh My, because in this we see. So we'll pull up here.
The Mormon pony dilemma?
Ether. Is it ether or ether or whatever?
We just had, as we were doing this, somebody commented on the Joseph Smith video I put out on Monday, and they were talking about like basically everybody is against the Mormons and has like altered the history to disprove Joseph Smith.
Right.
But he really knew the real truth.
So here's the best part. So this is horses. Yeah, horses and elephants. Oh boy. It says here in verse 16, and the Lord began again to take the curse from off the land, and the house of Emer did prosper exceedingly under the reign of said one. And in the space of 62 years, they had become exceedingly strong, in so much that they became exceedingly rich, having all manner of fruit, of grain, and of silks. All right. And of fine linen, and of gold, and of silver, and of precious things. And also all manner of cattle, and of oxen, and cows, and of sheep, and of swine, and of goats, and also many other kinds of animals which were useful for the food of man. They also had horses and donkeys, and there were elephants, and whatever that is, and all of which were useful unto man, and more especially the elephants and whatever these things are. So,
I remember there's like camels.
What do you mean not definitive Jewish?
Wait, no, hold on. You saw his third comment. Did you say that there is zero Middle Eastern DNA among Native Americans?
No, I never said that.
That's the opposite of what you said.
We didn't make all claims and not engage with the brother. You can't call the other guy just engage. The zero Middle Eastern DNA American. So I link an article that shows. I never said that there was no Middle Eastern DNA there, right? They're just not Jewish.
So, yeah, that's not.
And also, just because
they make that claim,
a people group could have similar genetic qualities as a different people group does not mean that those two people groups are related. But it could. Now, if they do, which, let me pull up Wikipedia again, because I would very much like to see, because it actually has it has a list down here.
Fastest PDF in the West.
Yeah, but where's the one with all the list of the... come on, could you be any more?
Allah only made it appear that there were no horses. You see? This is the proof.
Paleo-Indigenous Americans. Racial mixture. No, that's post-Columbian. Blood groups. Is this the one? Well, that's different. That's not quite what I was looking for.
What are you trying to find?
It's in the Wikipedia article.
Yeah, I was responding to Nick and missed what you're going through right now.
Oh.
He's like, give it to me in the Semitic. And I did, and he didn't respond. Exactly. You're hidden. The ones who have not yet mentioned.
So, Native Americans, where? Where the list is at? I mean, it may have just been in what I read.
I think
So, a distinct Paleolithic Siberian population. Basal East Asians.
This is just like Muhammad. A Kurlam is a nothing. It's a
yeah. Kurlam doesn't exist. They don't know what it is. They also don't know what Q-moms are, whatever that is.
It's just a likely a large useful creature of the ancient Jaredite civilization whose exact identity is unknown.
How could they have come to that conclusion? Anyways,
like when Muhammad would mention names of people who did not exist.
Yeah.
In the lineage of prophets.
They later dispersed, which entered the Americas.
Also, there were not elephants at that time.
I'm well aware of that, Chris. Yeah, we're well aware. We are well aware that
there's many things wrong with that sentence.
Mastodons and mammoths were not exactly present.
News for you, Chris. Some women don't menstruate constantly. It's not about constant, it's about ever. It means those who have never menstruated before. It does not specify an age. It doesn't say those past the normal age of puberty who are not menstruating. It says have never menstruated. That's the technical usage of the Arabic there. That implies any age of a girl if she's never menstruated.
So I'm not white. I'd like to engage with what you said. Now, this is just Google, so that's all I'm going off of. But it says there's no genetic evidence of pre-Columbian Middle Eastern migration to the Americas. Extensive DNA research shows indigenous Americans descend primarily from East Asian and ancient North Eurasian populations who crossed the Bering Land Bridge. While there are genetic links, they trace back much further than recorded history and connect to broader Eurasian ancestry rather than specific Middle Eastern groups.
I was gonna say, from everything I remember, it's
so
always
like
been
way back
the
there.
natives
They're
from or Eastern Asian descent.
They are Middle Eastern insofar as their ancestors tens of thousands of years ago also went and migrated to the Middle East. So that's that. I don't think that you can make a solid case, even if you could say that they have some sort of Middle Eastern DNA. It is nothing like what we see in the native, Jewish populations in the land of Canaan, or Syria, Palestina, if you will. So, so we have Ether 9 here, right? States horses. Now, Chris and Andrew, horses were not in America before Columbus.
Oh.
They were in America like 10 to 15,000 years before Columbus, but they weren't like they all died at about
it didn't exist whenever
10 to 12,000 years ago is when they all died. So like 6,000 years before the events of the supposed Book of Mormon.
Yeah, the Nephites would have, if they existed, which they didn't, but if they existed at that time before Jesus, there were no horses around 600 to 400, 300 BC.
Right. Now you could say, hey, Chase, what if they brought horses? Why weren't there horses then? Like, why weren't there more horses? If they brought horses with them, then why weren't there horses?
Yeah. What happened between
because it's
Jesus'
the
time
Europeans,
the 1400s.
The Europeans just they erased all the history, Chase. This is the problem.
Right. But one of the things I didn't there's actually a better quote from the Book of Mormon that I didn't put in here that says whenever they came over, they saw horses. Like whenever they got to America, they found horses. And so it kind of disproves.
So they were already there.
Yeah, they were.
Bisons hid the horses. They were inside of them.
Or they were behind. The bisons were in front, and the horses were like just hiding behind the bisons.
My wife and my sister almost got gored by a bison.
What?
Because, bisons are extremely aggressive. So much so that if you're within 100 yards of them, they will start charging you.
First Nephi.
So, and if you get charged by a bison, unless there's a tree, you're gonna die.
First Nephi 18, the very first book of Yon Book of Mormon. First Nephi 18, verse 25. Should have pulled this one up instead, because this is actually even better. But and it came to pass that we did find upon the land of promise, as we journeyed in the wilderness, that there were beasts in the forest of every kind, both the cow and the ox. Really? And the donkey and the horse, and the goat and the wild goat, and all manner of wild animals, which were for the use of men. And we did find all manner of ore, maybe, both of gold and silver and of copper. That all checks out. That stuff was all there. They didn't refine that ore, though. That's not something that Native Americans did at that time. They would find mostly pure gold and smelt it, but they did not have smelting technique advanced enough to extract the mineral from the ore. But second of all,
there were no cattle. Cows ain't in the land.
No, there were no cattle or oxen in the Americas before Christopher Columbus. DNA evidence reveals that African cattle were also brought to the Americans. Indigenous Americans did not have domesticated cattle. They had bison.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was nothing like that.
And he's writing this in English too, so you can't even say that this is a translation error where they mean actually just like bovine.
Right.
He's writing it in English. So if he meant bovine, he would just say bovine.
Right.
But he specifically uses cow and ox, the male and female terms for cattle.
Exactly. The problem with interpreting that also is that if you'll notice here, he seems perfectly fine using the original names of whatever animals were there.
Right.
So I don't know, like, because people will say, well, they're just using horse as like a, it's just like it's like a synonym for what they saw. Like maybe there was a deer, right? Maybe it was something like that, but it looked like a horse to them, so they called it a horse. Why did they use Kuralam and Kumam then? like why did they record the strange names of these creatures, but could not for the life of them figure out what to call a deer? It's just what it was. It was a deer, not a horse, and not a donkey. Anyways, so that happened. Yeah, this whole sentence is preposterous. Horses, donkeys, elephants. Like,
what is a deer?
What's a deer? What's a deer?
I don't know. Anyways,
what is a debate?
Now the next one, we have 3 Nephi 3:22. It says here, and it came to pass in the 17th year, in the latter end of the year, the proclamation of Laconius, that's not a Hebrew name, had gone forth throughout all the face of the land, and they had taken their horses and their chariots and their cattle and their flocks and their herds and their grain and all their substance, and they did march forth by thousands, by tens of thousands, until they had all gone forth to the place which had been appointed that they should gather themselves together to defend themselves against their enemies. Chariots. No. No, that didn't happen. Chariots did not exist. There's not a single shred of archaeological evidence that there was even remotely close to this like sophisticated metalwork and the scale of metallurgy that you would have needed to
Wouldn't
have produced a chariot.
Laconius mean Spartan?
I have no idea. Wouldn't a deer look
It's
more
definitely
close to a
Greek.
gazelle or an antelope? Yes.
Yeah.
But still, it's a preposterous statement. What do you mean they used horse for deer? That they used Kuralam and Kumam.
Well, I think that's the point he's saying. I think the point he's getting at was that they would have used deer for
A
deer.
different-
They
They
wouldn't
would
have
have
called it that.
Yeah,
they
they
would
used
have
a different
known
one.
that a deer was a deer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just aiding
Or
in
they
the
would have
like,
called it a gazelle.
Right.
yeah, or a gazelle. Yeah, they wouldn't have thought a horse was a deer was a horse.
Hey, but Jack Ray, you speak the truth. For
Just
whatever
little
reason,
horse.
Joseph Smith decided to write this in King James English. Nobody talked like this in 1820. This was not standard anymore. The these and the thous and the ye's were out of the common vernacular by the late 1700s, maybe mid 1700s. Most people would say that it had transitioned, because what was happening was you was Old English for plural second person. Ye was singular second person. So if you wanted to say, hey, Chris and Andrew, would you mind doing this thing? That would be fine, because you're using that in the plural. But if you said, hey, Andrew and Chris, would ye mind doing this thing? Well, that wouldn't be proper, because you would be using singular. But what was happening is people would greet each other with you as like a term of respect. So like kings and members of parliament, right? All of these people would be greeted as you, because it was more like it was more it was more proper because of their status, because they represented the country, because there's more to them. But then people just started saying you to everybody as kind of a term of reverence and respect for one another. And then ye and thee and thou kind of phased out, and nobody used it anymore. But that was way before Joseph Smith that happened. Now, not like thousands of years, mind you, but nobody talked like this. So I don't know why the Lord revealed this to Joseph Smith in 100-year-old English at that time. Like, why would he do that? But anyways, yes. So there's that. Chariots. And 2 Nephi 5:15 says, and I did teach my people to build buildings, and to work in all manner of wood and of iron, and of copper, and of brass, and of
Steel,
and of gold, and of silver, and of precious ores, which were in great abundance. First of all, he is right.
Steel.
Gold and silver were fairly abundant, but I think that's coincidence. I don't actually, he didn't know that. Iron was not in America, and it was not,
definitely
at the very
not
least,
steel.
it was not found widely enough in America. And if it was found and used, scholars would say that it was meteoric, and it was in like northwestern America, but that's like way the heck up there. And so not really even contemporary at all, let alone steel. So now there is evidence, and
steel is so hard to make.
They were
like, I don't think people are going to realize that. Like, can I rant about steel for a second?
Well, just real quick, I'll finish up and then go ahead.
Go for it.
What I was going to say is that there is evidence that alloys were used by the Native Americans. They would oftentimes combine copper and other minerals to form like brass, right? To come to these, you know, sturdier metals, but they would not have had steel, and they did not use steel. That was not something that they utilized because they didn't have the sophisticated means of like hard forging steel. You have to forge steel. You can't just make it. Like it has to be made very, very strenuously. And on that, our resident expert, Chris, will have a word.
Well, okay, so steel itself doesn't really exist much at the time of the Exodus. So at 600 BC, you would have some steelsmiths, but it's not like it's ubiquitous. So large scale construction of steel didn't exist until like the 300s, 200s, 100s BC. Like it was a newer invention by the time of Jesus. Now, they had been using it for a couple generations, but it was still newer. And you needed very special furnaces and very special smiths in order to actually process it and manage it, because it's a bunch of iron and carbon. It is a very weird alloy because it's not like bronze where you have like two base metals that you're using and you're just combining it in specific proportions, which I believe is like 77% copper to iron. But you would not have the type of metallurgy that you need in most of like the Middle East, but especially in the Americas. The reason why we even started using iron is because of plowing and because of weapons and warfare. We figured out iron could repel, you know, boned arrowheads and rock and flint and obsidian, like those type of arrowheads. You know, iron could just, you're fine. So then we invented armor with iron, used it sparingly, but we also invented weapons with iron and used it sparingly. But it was mostly for farming. So it's a farming device that was heavily invented and used in the Middle East, but because it was traded so much, it mostly was like produced in like China and like some of these other big empires. Rome eventually started using it, but it's not until you get like the legit empires of the 200s, 300s BC, like Greece and Rome and China and Persia, that you actually have massive amounts of smiths that were trained and specialized in smithing steel. And even then, the steel wasn't very good quality until way later in history. So you're not going to have the type of steel you need for any of the stuff it talks about at the time in Jerusalem and Israel. And you're definitely not going to have it in the natives, because the natives didn't have it at all. They didn't even have an iron age. They had no need for iron. They didn't have plows. They didn't farm. They didn't do the things that we did to need iron. So they actually skipped the Iron Age. They're one of the only civilizations in history to skip an Iron Age because we brought it to them already as steel in the 1500s. So we had gone so far past the Iron Age by the time that we encountered them that they looked extremely primitive, just because they didn't have a need for it. They didn't have a wheel. They didn't have animals they could actually domesticate and tame, because all the animals here are kind of like savages, which entirely the case. Like, name me an animal that's actually you could make a friend of in America.
Timberwolves, but yeah.
I mean, kind of. Even then, you have to give them a bunch of meat.
It is
anyway. You don't have
a process.
It's a cool basketball team.
You don't have any of the technology, and it's a very hot metal. So it's not just like you're smelting bronze. You need a very, very hot furnace, and you have to fold it, you have to quench it, you have to do a lot of processes to it to make the carbon solidified in the crystalline structure to actually give it strength. So you don't have the type of furnaces, you don't have the materials, you don't have the expertise, you don't have anything you need to make steel in the Americas until the settlers brought it and they built it themselves because they knew how to do it. And even then, it was hard to do. Yeah. But it's not. So he's like, the South America had excellent high-tech metalworking. They had metalworking for bronze and other lighter and easier metals and materials. There's a world of difference between a smithy that is able to create gold and bronze and a smithy that's able to create steel. Worlds apart.
Yeah. Yeah. Crafting
So
gold
stupid.
versus
So
crafting steel is completely different. What?
I have no idea what this is talking about. Please
If
enlighten
you can,
us.
yeah, if you can elaborate on that, we
That's
will
hilarious.
definitely cover that.
That's like 2 Lego sets.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
For real. Could you imagine? That'll get me like a Millennium Falcon these days. Anyways, so first of all, we did not just discover that a third of the Native American population is from the Middle East. That's not a thing that happened. I would love to see where you found that out. But problem is we're not making you a mod so you can share links. But I would love to see where you found. You know what? Let's look this up because this is 1/3 of the Native American.
I'd make him a mod. He seems like a trustworthy guy. He has good
Mission Impossible Brigham Young edition.
We have good back and
The
forth.
Native
He can be a
American
mod.
population of Middle Eastern descent. No. So here we have it. The claim that 1/3 of the Native American population is of Middle Eastern descent is a misconception. It stems from a misinterpretation of ancient DNA studies rather than modern demographics or direct ancestry. Also, the claim, where's it at? The claim that DNA isn't evidence for or against is ridiculous. You would not be saying that if the DNA evidence supported your claim. If it turned out that, hey, 80% of all Native Americans are, of Middle Eastern descent, that's what you would say that you would point to as evidence. And also, you said not making cases of Middle Eastern markers on the Nephites. I'm debunking your claims. There's 0. I never said there's 0. In the manner of speaking.
The only claim that I believe that you made was that there was 0 Jewish connection.
What do you mean we actually have very little knowledge about the DNA of natives? We actually have quite a bit. It was very easy. It was only a couple of 100 years ago that this country was founded. So it really wasn't all that difficult to dig up stuff. Not only that, but not only that, we've dug up significantly older bones than what we've dug up here. And they're not in any way, shape, or form Jewish. So even if we throw out DNA evidence, what other evidence could you possibly have that these people are Jewish? There's no alphabet. There's no phonetics. There's no spoken language that's even anywhere similar to Hebrew or a development thereof. The only record we have of these people is I just need you guys to understand how ridiculous it sounds to Christians whenever you say, well, the only record of this civilization is some golden plates that have since disappeared.
Also, it's too long to explain here, but it seems like Mormon police officers are protecting a guy who stole $200K worth of Legos. That they arrested a guy who was trying to serve him papers.
Oof.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, Chris, have you checked out the historical tie-ins for 1 Nephi 13? It seems to include the rise of Islam and claims that Christopher Columbus was divinely inspired to travel west over the Atlantic. Also disproves the Great Apostasy.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, Chrissy Columbus was, in fact, a pretty devout Catholic, right? I thought so.
He was a Spaniard.
He was Spanish, and the Spanish monarchs were devoutly Catholic at the time, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. Which is why Mexico became Catholic.
Very Catholic, yeah. That's one of the other reasons why they wanted to find a new way to get to India, was because they were like, look, we're Christians, we're going to get beheaded if we go this way, so let's find a different way around. And they did, but only about halfway. Christopher Columbus made it about halfway, and then but anyways, so that was the thing that happened.
Well, thank you for the super chat.
Right. Columbus was
Thank you, brother.
Genoese. He was working for the Spanish. But anyways.
He was born in Italy.
Yes. Old
I'm
Chrissy.
lagging so bad.
Old Chrissy Columbus. Anyways, so I think we can very conclusively say that Native Americans are not Jewish and that there were no horses, there were no chariots, there was no steel, there were no elephants in pre-Columbian America, especially at the time of these certain people. I feel like this whole horse claim, you know how the Quran claims that the Jews worship Ezra as the son of God? I feel like this whole horse thing is very similar because from what I've seen online, Mormons will say, well, it was there were horses. It was a very particular subset of them, and they were only in one place, and but we don't have any evidence of them. And it's like, there we have it. There we have it. In Italy, they had great apostasy. Yeah, all right.
You know, it's also one of those things where you point stuff like that out to a Muslim and you say, you know, oh, so the Jews worship Ezra, supposedly, right? Well, we have no evidence of this, of the Jews believing that Ezra was the son of God. And if we had a claim like this in the Bible, you would have a field day with it.
Oh, yeah.
But we're led to believe that we should give you the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And that's how I feel about these claims in the Book of Mormon, is like,
you would not let us go.
Yeah. I know that they don't believe the Bible to be infallible, but again,
in the same way that we do.
Yeah. No. This would be a major point that they would bring up about, you know, if we had something like this in the Bible, they'd point at that and say, well, why can't Joseph Smith make claims like that if the Bible makes claims like that? So
I have no problem with Joseph Smith making claims. He just made it up. He's just made up. It's just made up. I don't know. Anyways, so that's I don't know. There's parts of the Quran that make for a pretty decent story too. But the Book of Mormon is at the very least a better story than the Quran, because in and of itself, the Quran is not a story. He kind of just said whatever he wanted. The last species of native horse in the Americas before they all died out was far too small to ride or to be used as a pack animal. No one would have known what a horse was, would have called it a horse. No people who knew what a horse was would have called it a horse. Okay.
It's like calling a dick a deer. Like, sure, it's technically the same species, but deer don't look the same even a little bit. Like, it's like this big. I know you can't actually see me because I'm lagging so bad, but it's like this big.
It'll catch up eventually.
It's like this big.
Bro, I'm not even reading anymore, but I'm still reading on the screen.
Well, that's so funny. You are catching up. We'll eventually get the part where we see how big you
so far in history. I'm looking at the past. I'm staring
You're in
at
2025 at the moment.
Oh wait, I'm almost there. Oh, it's gonna cut.
There we go.
There it goes. It's about that big. It's about that big. So it's like calling that a deer, like the smallest species of deer that lives in Africa. Time traveling, Chris, indeed. Man, it's getting bad. What's my CPU doing?
It's like calling a fish.
I have 40 minutes until the current epoch is done. So.
Oh, there we go.
Chris needs another machine to run his AI addiction on.
Chris is back in the last dispensation, bro. Where's he coming from? He's back. Anyways, so yeah, so that's all false, right? We know that was not a thing that was happening. Now on to Chris's favorite subject: false prophecies. Joseph Smith's false prophecies. We are going to look at 3 of them in specific, of Joseph Smith in particular, because as I have learned, what up, Ash? As I have learned,
hello, brother.
Hello,
Mormons.
Be careful, Chase. We got some powerful dawa in the chat.
Right. Yes, Baba
We do. We're gonna
Ganoush
get
has
destroyed.
made it. But no, Ash
I'm
needs
also
a
on like a
Mormon
15-second delay, possibly.
Ash's Mormon name will be Hiram Williamson. Anyways, so
Okay.
here we have.
So I read First Nephi 13, Distracting Games brought up earlier.
Okay.
I definitely see where he gets Christopher Columbus, because it does talk about like the people, the Gentiles who come onto the land had the Bible with them, and they brought it and all that stuff. Like it sounds like Christopher Columbus. The other one, I don't know if it's actually talking about Islam. I could definitely see how you got Islam if you have like Islam on the brain whenever you're reading it. I could see also how it is just the Catholic Church with the way he describes it, because that's also how the reformers talked about the Catholic Church. For like the great church, that killed all of the followers of God. They talked about it the same way. So whether that is Islam or the Vatican, I do not know. But
look, Ash, Hiram Williamson was the best I could think of in the moment. Yeah, you know, it was just off the top of my head. You look, you know, you could pass for a Hiram. I don't know about Williamson, but you could pass for a Hiram. Hey,
that's racist or not?
It's not racist. How's that racist? You could pass for a Hiram. You know, I'm just saying he kind of looks like a dude who might be named, you know, Hiram.
I knew a Hiram.
Exactly, right? And he looked just like
Ash. Growing up
Ash.
was Mormon, and his brother's name was Hiram.
And he, of course, looked just like Ash.
No.
Right. Yes, he did.
He didn't.
And then he moved to Israel and changed his name. But I digress. Anyways, Amos but those are like distinctly like Old Testament names. You know what I'm saying? Like this got to be distinctly a Mormon name. What is Baba Ganoush?
The best we can,
you know,
best we can do is Jared.
Oh yeah, I could pass for Chase.
What Google would
right.
For that.
You know who else could pass
for
Chase? What
is the most Mormon name?
Not you. Anyways, Ammon is a popular Mormon name. It's probably Joseph. I can't front.
Probably is Joseph.
At least one of them.
Muhammad is that Muhammad's that popular of a name for Muslims, you know, like there's so many people named Muhammad.
To be fair, how many other people you know who named Chase? That's slightly less popular.
I know a few Chases.
John Moses Browning. Oh, he's okay. I thought you were John Moses Browning could totally be Ash. Ash could be John Moses.
This guy named his kid Hellemans Hunt with an apostrophe in Hellemans. So his name legally has an apostrophe.
Whose?
That's sick.
I'm just on. I typed in what is the most Mormon name, and there's an ex-Mormon subreddit with it. It's like, what is the most Mormon name you've ever seen or heard? There's some funny ones like Lihona, Joseph Hiram Richardson, some Nephi's, all that. Celestial Joy is one other one apparently. But this guy named his kid Hellemans Hunt with a literal apostrophe in the name. So you have to write the apostrophe for the S as a first name. Amazing.
What do you call a room full of chases? A pursuit. Very based.
But okay. Again, it's distinctly Mormon. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. But Chase, you don't have to take it. You don't have to. That's pro bono. Hey,
Chase, you pull up these false prophecies
from one Hiram to another. Anyways.
Super chat.
Oh yeah,
you're right. Hold on. There we go. My sister was adopted from Siberia, and when we did her genetic test, she was 98.1% identical to Native Americans, not Levantine Jews.
Levantine Jews, yeah. Real. Anyways.
Are you sure? Can they run the test again? Run it again!
banned all others in chat. Anyways. Well, okay. Well, now we got all the chases coming out of the freaking woodwork. Anyways. So here's the one that we had that long, extensive discussion with that one dude. In the teachings of Joseph Smith.
Ash is in a debate mood tonight. He's coming for Hiram.
Hiram naming next.
Yes, please.
Oh
my gosh.
He hasn't done a stream debating Jews for like a week and a half, so he's just itching for it. Oh, has your kid come yet?
Oh.
Ash, if you didn't see his comment earlier, he says literally any day now. So no, it has not. Or his child has not.
Oh, yet. No, I did not see his comment earlier.
Yeah. All right.
It's past the due date now.
To be fair, I was also late. I don't remember how long, how
Maybe
late.
Any day.
Like,
oh, I caught up. I can see myself.
Do not chase the rainbow. Especially not this month. Anyways. So here we have the prophecy of all prophecies. The one that we spent 40 minutes talking to this one dude about on our last call-in stream. So this is Joseph Smith in, I don't remember what this is called, Teachings of the Prophet. This has a lot of wild stuff in here. This is just one of them. It says, now I am prepared to say, by the authority of Jesus Christ, let that sink in, that not many years shall pass away before the United States shall present such a scene of bloodshed as has not a parallel in the history of our nation. So this was written very shortly before the Civil War. All right. Now, Andrew and Chris, I'd like to take a moment and say, and just ask, would it have taken special revelation from God to have clearly seen a war coming at that time?
1840? No.
No.
I would say no.
It would not have taken special revelation from God to know that America was in deep civil unrest.
Right.
So
no, I'd be like living in the 1930s in like Poland and being like, I think Germany's gonna invade us sometime.
Being like, hey man,
Roof.
You know, like he remilitarizes the Rhineland, and you're like, all right, time for a prophecy.
There's a war coming.
Time for a
especially
prophecy.
Like after the charter of Verdun, where they basically threw all of the debt of the war onto them, and they made Germany the brokest country in history.
Oh yeah.
Where like $1, like a loaf of bread was a wheelbarrow full of money. And it's like, so these people are extremely poor now. They just like defaulted on their debt, and they're building up an army. I think there's going to be a war, especially because they're still salty from the last war.
Right.
And they think that everyone else is the problem. Sounds like a war is going to happen.
Right. So
yeah, when somebody pressed on this on one of the posts that I made, I said, so if I point out all the things that are happening in the world right now, and I said that World War III would be the bloodiest conflict in human history, and that actually were to come to pass, would that make me a prophet? Or would that just mean that I could infer from what I'm seeing in the world news that, in knowing that the technology we have today would be a terribly, terribly bloody conflict, I'm just pulling off of inference, right? That's not a prophecy. That's just me saying that this is what is going to happen. If this were to happen, this would be terrible. But again, the biggest thing was the pestilence, hail, famine, and earthquake.
So yeah, we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. So next we have what is to cause this bloodshed. So we can give them a bit of license by saying, well, this bloodshed could have totally been the Civil War. It's fine. Let's keep reading.
Fair.
Pestilence, hail, famine, and earthquake will sweep the wicked of this generation from off the face of the land. Okay. So,
and to be fair,
I looked all of these up.
There was not the famine in the land. So for the famine, there was never a famine in the land at large. There was a famine for individual soldier battalions that were cut off from supply lines.
Right.
That's not famine. That's different thing. That is bad logistics. That's not just famine. The land was still producing food.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I tried to tell the guy the first time. I was like, look, it's not like there was a legitimate famine during the Civil War. People were just dying of starvation.
Totally different things.
So it's like, now I guess that depends. Well, famine could just mean starvation and not, but it's like, in scripture, whenever we see famine, we see the land wasn't producing food and like livestock was dying. So like, that's kind of what we see, but apparently not for Joseph Smith. Anyways, so also, I went through all these and I looked all of these up on the internet. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the earthquake he mentions an earthquake in North Carolina or South Carolina.
No. There was an earthquake in 1865 and it was in Memphis.
I thought he mentioned South Carolina.
He may. I think he mentioned Charleston.
He does for something else.
He mentioned Charleston, but that did not happen during the Civil War.
Right, that happened significantly later.
Yes, much later.
And because he quoted that to me, I think in a separate comment, and I was like, how is that at all connected to the Civil War?
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, I am not trying to excuse any kind of disaster or death or tragedy, but I think 50 people died. That is not apocalyptic language amount of people death, right? Like that's like 50 people dying is tragic. It is absolutely a tragedy, but when we're using apocalyptic language to talk about mass destruction and death, I think we would all assume a number higher than 50.
Right. That's like a bad weekend in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's not necessarily wrong, but yeah. Sorry, you can continue, please.
Yeah. So I looked all these up. So pestilence, sickness, right? We'll say sickness. So how many people died from illness? Well, about 2/3 of all the deaths during the Civil War were due to illness, various illnesses, malnourishment. Well, malnourishment was more starvation, but like nourishment related issues, marching, feed problems, like legitimate airborne illnesses, that accounted for about 2/3 of the deaths of soldiers in the Civil War. So that checks out. Hail. Didn't nobody die because of hail? I don't know if I'd actually say Civil War.
I personally wouldn't even say pestilence checks out, because that type of pestilence that they went through, it wasn't like a plague. It wasn't like what happened in Egypt. It wasn't something like miraculous. It was just like people had malnutrition and they got sick and died.
Right.
Or they died to exposure. Like that's not pestilence. It's just like what would normally happen if you don't eat much food, then you're out in the outdoors all night and all day for several weeks. You're probably gonna die.
Yeah, it's not like the death of the firstborn, or it's it's
or like the bubonic plague or something like that.
The
Spanish flu.
But I mean, hey, we'll give it to him, right? 2/3 of all the deaths had to do with some sort of disease related causes. Hail, however, does not check out. And Buddy was like, well, hail could also refer to war, because you see in the Old Testament, God says something about hail and it actually means battle. And then Chris looked it up and he said, no, it didn't happen. Chris, do you remember where that was at? That was in Job, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Hailing
So
down
it's
bullets.
in Job. Yeah,
No.
it's in Job and it's in Exodus, and it's the same language. So in Exodus, it's literally hail,
Right.
and Job is relating to it in the similar way, where it's God bringing a storm. Well, the idea of God's storm of destruction is that it's like hail and lightning, and like tornado, like it's going to destroy you in the storm itself. It's not a euphemism for war.
Right.
Um,
So hail
anyway.
did not kill anybody, nor did hail have a super significant impact on civilized America during those years. I don't think. Famine. All right. Well, again, depending on how you actually use famine, we'll say for the benefit of this, discussion, we'll just call it malnourishment. So malnourishment in general, right? Whether that means eating too much of the wrong stuff or not enough at all. 50,000 people died roughly during the Civil War because of malnourishment. So we'll give it to you. However, the last and most unequivocal of all is this earthquake. Well, is earthquake. So that could mean an earthquake. That could mean multiple earthquakes because it doesn't necessarily say hails, but it says hail, even though technically it's plural already. And I think all of those are actually plural. Famine.
No,
Famine is
it's a
singular.
hail.
Anyways. Yeah, anyways, an earthquake will sweep the wicked of this generation from off the face of the land. So there was an earthquake in 1865. Good job, Joseph. Unfortunately for Joseph, nobody died. Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee, 1865, earthquake hit. Nobody died, unfortunately.
There was like one street that had some of the buildings messed up.
Right.
It was not a big deal.
And I have another problem with this. So let's continue to read. It says to open and prepare the way for the return of the lost tribes of Israel from the north country. Now, what the north country has been a debate. Not all Mormons agree on the north country. There was not an earthquake.
Time out. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about the earthquake in Charleston. That happened, I believe, 20 years after the Civil War.
It was like 20 years after.
It was like 20 or 30 years after the Civil War. That is, you can't connect those two things. Those are not applicable.
Yeah.
And again, that's not us ignoring his. I read what he said. I commented back to him. That's not me ignoring what he said. I'm acknowledging what he said and saying that doesn't apply. Something that took place. If you're claiming this is the Civil War, sure. We fought about this, and you're right. Sure, it's a Civil War. Something that happens 20 years after the Civil War is not something because of the Civil War.
Or even
the same thing.
Like, not that earthquakes are necessarily related to any
other
activity, but like it's 20 years afterward. So like,
can you pull up that last comment from Jack? I want to roast him real quick. Boy, you telling me I'm a Yankee because I spelled Tennessean the right way? Excuse you, sir. We drop the second E in the middle E parts, the TENNEESSEE. We drop that second E to make Tennessean. I'm born and raised in Nashville. Well, I wasn't born in Nashville. I was actually born in Michigan. From like 1.5 to 23, I was a Tennessee. Excuse you, sir. Back off. Anyway.
Hold on. So that's like saying Trump almost got pew-pewed because of the Twin Towers going down directly. I mean, yeah, that's the same. That is roughly the same time frame we're talking about here. That is about 25 years difference.
So yeah. Anyways,
oh gosh, that was a while ago, wasn't it? Never mind. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
No, yeah. Well, 9/11 was 25 years ago.
I wasn't talking about 20. I was talking about the Trump situation. That was
that was
longer
like 2
ago.
years ago.
Yeah, I forgot that was 2 years ago because I said that was 25 years ago, and I went, oh no, that would have been 23 years ago from that moment. So
right, yeah.
I just realized how fast time is.
Are you saying? I think Jack was actually saying that Tennessee is not part of the South. I also take offense to that, sir. Or he responds.
Right.
Real quick, I'm gonna take a moment and go to the bathroom. So y'all keep going. But
yeah, we'll keep talking. We'll recap when you get back. So the North Country. Where exactly is said North Country? Mormons have disagreed throughout the years. Some Mormons will say, well, they're underneath of an ice cap, the polar ice cap, the northernmost polar ice cap. You heard me right. Some of them will say that.
She was right.
Some of them will also say that the North Country is just generally referring to like the northern hemisphere. So like, because most Jews did not migrate south, they migrated north. But even it was a forced migration, but whatever the reasons are.
Now in Yankee State.
So that's that. I would just like to ask, however, so Chris, let's say in 10 years' time that a mass migration of Jews descend upon America, right? In what meaningful way did the Civil War prepare the way for these people?
They did. So, okay, let's try to steelman it, all right? So I can just be like, no, I didn't, ha ha, he he. But let's try to think steelman real quick. So the Civil War, what were the effects on the country from the Civil War? You destroyed, you dissolved the Union. Then you reinstituted the Union.
Right.
But the Union still separated the Canadians from America because it's talking about the North Country. That's not America, it's Canada or the Arctic. Canada was not introduced into America, so that's not. There was not a mass exodus or a mass emigration into America from Canada during that time period that I'm aware of, because that was also the French-Canadian War was during that time period, if I remember correctly. A little bit, no, as the Revolution War, not this one. So, was there a single mass exodus or mass immigration from Canada post Civil War? I don't think there was a single one that I can recall.
Now, I guess you could say that in a broad sense, the Civil War prepared the way for people just in general to come to the United States. So it's not like this is some sort of special preparation by God for Jews to come over to America. It's more general, like, hey, life is now better because we're all under the Union again, and there's no slavery, and people are counted equally. And even though that actually wasn't the case, even after slavery was outlawed, people were still really mean and bad, and had Jim Crow and all that. So I feel like
there was a mass immigration from Canada to America post Civil War. From 1865 to the 1900s, there was around 1 million Canadians that migrated from the Canada to the U.S. And it is referred to as the French-Canadian Exodus. But these are not Jews; they're French Canadians.
Wait, but are they Jews?
They're not Jews, but there was actually a mass immigration following the Civil War into America.
Jewish.
And they were all Jewish. All right, so let's see. Of the French Canadians,
they were all Catholic. They had to have been all Catholic.
How many were
Canada's
Jews?
Catholic. Not that you can't be Jewish and Catholic.
Sure. There's one in the chat.
Like our brother.
It might be two in the chat. I don't remember if JP is. He's a Mexican. I don't know if he's a Jewish Mexican Catholic.
The French are the real Jews.
This is a wild statement from the AI. It's funny. So this is the AI overview of the question of the French Canadians. How many of the French Canadians were Jews in the 1800s during this exodus? And it says that the number of Jewish people living among French Canadians in the 1800s was practically zero.
Dang.
During this era, Jews and French Canadians rarely intermarried, and Catholic conversions to Judaism were non-existent. The total Jewish population, all of Canada, was only 1,000 in 1871. Specifically, 1,115. There was a census in 1871.
Hey, we got Grammari, who is French Canadian, and his family's part of that migration, and they were all Catholic.
Nice. Based. There you
Probably
go.
not a Jew among them.
He is a part of the North Country that migrated to America post-Civil War. So, Joseph Smith's a prophet. This is a fulfilled prophecy, except there's no Jews. But, hey.
Right. So, again, it seems like what Joseph Smith is saying in this prophecy is that there's going to be a huge bloodshed, and the bad people of this generation are going to be wiped out, and then the good Jews are going to come in. But that didn't happen. The wicked of this generation were, by and large, not wiped out. And not everyone who fought for the South was wicked either.
You're the only 10 I see. Sorry.
So, well, I really don't want people to take it out of context. Not everyone who fought for the South was fighting explicitly for slavery. Correct. There were quite a few people who were fighting for the South who just thought that the Union was legitimately becoming tyrannical. They weren't. The Union was not exercising some sort of tyrannical control because, by and large, the civilized world at that time had already gotten rid of slavery, and the compromises that were being made were well behind where just about everybody else in Europe was at the time. So they weren't really exercising some sort of, tyrannical activity in the North. So they weren't all wicked, and I don't know, like it makes it seem like the wicked from this generation are going to be gone and the good Jews are going to come in, and that it didn't happen.
Right. It is the wording that I would agree with the most.
And not all the wicked people were killed. It's not like the Union rounded up and executed all the generals. They were actually treated fairly, decently after the war. I mean, they were all seditionist traitors, and they committed treason. So that there is already, sentence enough. But at the same time, they were mostly not, I don't know, like they weren't swept from the face of the land, right? Yeah, and as Tejano is pointing out, Robert E. Lee only sided with the Confederacy because he was from Virginia, and the Confederacy had already reached out and asked him to march on orders from the South. Yeah, Robert E. Lee was just a fantastic general.
Yeah, if he didn't actually join the South, the Civil War would have been significantly shorter.
Oh yeah, like if Robert E. Lee had joined the North, things would have de-escalated very quickly because they didn't really have anybody like him. You have to understand, the South made it all the way up to Gettysburg. That is a lot further than they should have ever made it. They were not right. I'm not saying that Lee is totally excused. Nobody is totally excused of anything, right? We're all sinners. We're all evil people. We all suck, right? But Lee, like, again, like if I were to say, who are these wicked people? like there's not a whole lot of evidence that Robert E. Lee was like a wicked person, really. And there's no evidence that everyone who fought for the Confederacy were wicked people.
Or you take the hyper route to say, what is the distinguishment? But if we're all sinners, what's the distinguishing factor that makes the Union not
right?
wicked,
Like
right?
Not wicked.
It's like, yeah, they fought against slavery, which is good. We agree. However, they were also still sinners.
Exactly.
So it's like, so if the distinguishing factor of the wicked, and even then it's like that, it's not like the entire South was wiped out, right? So if you want to say like, you want to say like, oh, well, it was just the South in general were the wicked. It's like, okay, well, they weren't all wiped out. Not all the people who still wanted slavery were wiped out. There were
not
still
all
people who
right.
who were not happy that they lost. There were still people who still wanted slavery and did not think it was a good idea to abolish it. So none of that came to pass.
Right. I mean, you have to think like not everyone in the Confederate Army was rounded up and executed. Not everyone, not all the generals were. They weren't even really all imprisoned. Like there's just so many things. It's like, in what meaningful way were the wicked swept from this generation? I don't understand. But yeah, Andrew, so, we were also talking about how, let's say the Jews did come back to America 10 years from now. In what meaningful way did the Civil War prepare the way for the Jews to come back? Like, what direct consequence of the Civil War is not applicable to all migrants as well as these supposed Jewish ones who are coming? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the Hale side of things, White Man earlier said that, or he says he's not white. The not white dude said earlier that there were 5 like historic hailstorms during the Civil War. There were 2 shortly after the Civil War, and there was one big one during the Civil War and one smaller one during the Civil War, but they were not like statewide. They were like localized, happening in individual cities and individual fronts. So it was like less than 5
hailstorms.
Like pretty much all hailstorms, yes. And I don't think anyone died in any of them.
No. Yeah, not a single death, I believe.
Yeah.
Now you could say somebody, grandpa accidentally slipped on a hailstone.
Right.
But was grandpa a wicked of this generation who needed to be swept from the land? Who knows?
I mean, I grew up in Tornado Alley. I'm pretty sure you guys have as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hit by hail a number of times in my life because we used to play whenever tornadoes were out because it was fun. So I have been chased by hail.
I didn't do that
multiple times in my life. We were playing soccer once in the hail, and then they just kept pelting us. So we decided to go inside. Hail usually will not kill you. It just hurts real bad.
Yeah,
this is
you have to get really big hail to kill you.
Anytime that I heard there was a tornado coming, like I still do, I hide.
Yeah, go outside and look at it.
Go
outside and look at it. Absolutely. That's the Southern way.
My anxiety is
you stare at it. No, I mean, you go outside, you stare at it, you crack a beer, you drink it, you wait till it gets really close, then you run in the basement.
Yeah, you smoke a beer, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I could outrun that tornado.
That's what I'm saying.
It's true.
All this Civil War stuff would have to have been directly correlated to the lost tribes of Israel. It didn't happen.
Right.
Like the Civil War would have had to have directly had some sort of a meaningful impact on these Jewish people coming back. I love how it says to open and prepare the way for the return. When were they here before? Because even Joseph Smith admits that the people who came over were descended from Joseph, so that's one tribe that came. But anyways,
it's one family of tribes specifically.
Right, exactly.
So like all of Nephi's brothers were technically separate tribes of Joseph in America. So I believe the 4 different tribes of Jews.
Now,
even still,
it gets even worse when he says,
Also, Ash asked earlier what's happening with the Jews because he missed stuff. A lot of Mormonism is based on Jews being in America. So, yeah, he chose the tribe of Joseph specifically because he's Joseph Smith Jr.
Right.
And in Genesis 51, which he wrote and invented, it says that the rod will be in Joseph Smith Jr.'s hand, or like the son of Joseph Smith. Or no, what's this exact quote? It's like your son who has your name, or the name like his father, which indicates that he's a junior and that his name is Joseph. So because he's Joseph Jr. and he is prophesied in Genesis 51 as a tribe of a Jew, that's now Joseph Smith. That came over during the first Exodus in boats in 600 BC.
Right.
That's the claim. That then possibly moved to the Arctic?
Who knows? Anyways, so this part makes things even more complicated because it says, repent ye, and embrace the everlasting covenant, and flee to Zion before the overflowing scourge overtake you. For there are those now living upon the earth whose eyes shall not be closed in death until they see all these things which I have spoken fulfilled. Remember these things, call upon the Lord while he is near, and seek him while he may be found, in the exhortation of your unworthy servant. I almost said untrustworthy. Unworthy servant, Joseph Smith. So this appears now. The guy before said, you have to understand. He says all these things only includes the preparation for these Jews to come over. But as we see in Doctrines and Covenants 84, which I will now present to you, verses 1 through, I believe, 5. It says, a revelation of Jesus Christ to Joseph Smith. Yea, the word of the Lord concerning his church established in the last days for the restoration of his people, as he has spoken by the mouth of his prophets, and for the gathering of his saints to stand upon Mount Zion, which shall be the city of New Jerusalem, which is bogus. Mount Zion is in Israel. Anyways, which city shall be built beginning at the temple lot, which is appointed by the finger of the Lord in the western boundaries of the state of Missouri. So he's talking about far west Missouri, which is literally the name of the place. Independence, far west Missouri. And dedicated by the hand of Joseph Smith Jr. and others with whom the Lord was well pleased. Verily, this is the word of the Lord, that the new city Jerusalem shall be built by gathering of the saints, beginning at this place, even the place of the temple, which temple shall be reared when? In this generation. For verily this
years ago, 180 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
84, so that would have been, sometime in the 30s probably. For verily this generation shall not all pass away until an house shall be built unto the Lord, and a cloud shall rest upon it, which cloud shall be even the glory of the Lord, which shall fill the house. So this prophecy in the teachings may not have explicitly said that they will see the actual return of the people, but just the preparation. But this says that they will actually see the return of God on earth. The glory of the Lord will fill this house. And which house is it referring to? Well, it could only be the temple.
He's quoting temple language.
And they will say all the time, they'll say, oh, well, there were many Mormon temples which were raised during that generation. Absolutely. But that's not the temple that he's talking about here. Right? The temple he's talking about here is in far west Missouri.
In the Garden of Eden.
And so I can't see a good refutation for this, really. And also, what does a cloud shall rest upon it, and the glory of the Lord will fill the house? Like, if you say that that's the temple in, like, Salt Lake, when did that happen?
Right. He's literally quoting the first temple language whenever Solomon blessed it, and the glory of God came and filled it. He's quoting that of his temple that doesn't exist, that never existed, and will never exist.
Yes, the new
almost 200 years now.
The New Jerusalem is in Missouri.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is really funny because the state of Missouri actually forced all of the Mormons out. So
they had a kill order for them.
And it's funny because the Reformed Mormon Church stayed. Like, they were essentially allowed to be there. and they still are. So it's like, wait.
Yep.
If
Yeah, so
if you're not
Mormons
going to be a
currently own the
belligerent
land.
if you're not going to be a belligerent, like
Militant
militant jerk
rebel. Yeah.
trying to take everybody's stuff,
Right.
then
Making
they don't really have a problem.
stealing women, children.
So yeah, you guys are more than welcome. You can look up in Independence, Missouri, Temple Lot. You can see a big open field. Well, it's not really big necessarily. It's just an open field with buildings all around it. And it will have 4 rocks as each cornerstone of the church, which oddly enough will not be there when even if they were to build the thing, because that's not how construction works anymore. So they're gonna have to remove those. I mean, they don't necessarily have to, but
right. The story is that Joseph Smith himself walked that land and like said, "Hey, here's the corner." He walked over and said, "Here's the corner." He walked over and said, "Here's the corner." He walked over and said, "Here's the corner." On land he did not own.
Right.
And said that the temple will be built there. So land that he basically stole. Eventually, he was ran out by an angry mob. But the church, like there is a Mormon offshoot branch that currently owns the temple lot.
Right.
But they have failed multiple times to build it because they don't have the money to do it. So the temple could be built. It's owned by the church. That's what the building right next to it there, is owned by Mormons of a different denomination than the major denomination.
Right.
And yeah, there is no temple. 150 years later, over 150 years later, no temple. And there's a plaque that says, "Here is where the temple should be."
I think, hold on.
Which is really funny. Yeah. So, spot for temple dedicated by Joseph Smith on August 3rd, 1831. See markers at the top of the steps. Yeah. Then there's another one below it as well, that blue sign that also has like, he said that this was where the temple would be built. And it's like,
not here.
Such a smack in the face. Imagine having multiple plaques that just say this is where it will happen in the last days. But
Reformed Mormons are generally better than LDS. They tend to have better, like they're essentially what happened was big bro Joseph Smith started doing a bunch of objectionable things. So they're like, well, we don't really like all that stuff. So then they just kind of were like, well, we like the Book of Mormon and some stuff, so we'll take that.
So for why they didn't build the temple there was multiple court cases that try to keep them from building it, from other Mormons and from the city itself. So the city didn't want it built for a long time, and then whenever they eventually gave up and stopped caring, because it's like, oh, all the original people are dead, the prophecy's obviously false, so we can just stop caring. At that point in time, there were 2 different denominations of Mormons that were fighting over the land, and they were keeping each other from being able to build on it. Then they tried back in like the 80s to build it, and they ran out of funds. They weren't able to raise the funds because their denomination is too small.
Yeah.
And they gave up. So now they've owned the land for like 60 years, that denomination, and they just can't do anything with it. But they don't want to give it to the other people who could build on it. So it's just stuck in limbo. And it's the best failed prophecy of any prophet I've ever seen. It's my favorite.
So yes, he said that generation, and it didn't happen in that generation. So that's really unfortunate of that. You can very clearly see that. Another one of my favorites is in History of the Church, Volume 5, which I don't know why I didn't just use this website for the first History of the Church one. I digress. Share this tab instead. See if you guys can see Andrew. If you wouldn't mind pulling that up for me. I'll zoom in a little bit more. All right. So it says President Smith, in concluding, so this is at like a conference, in concluding his remarks, said that if the government, which received into its coffers the money of citizens for its public lands, pause, this is America, resume, while its officials, public treasury, which isn't entirely false, at that time, cannot protect such citizens in their lives and property. It is an old granny anyhow. And he's saying this like almost not even 100 years after after 1776. So, yep. Anyways, it's an old granny anyhow. And I prophesy in the name of the Lord God of Israel, unless the United States redress the wrongs committed upon the saints in the state of Missouri and punish the crimes committed by her officers, that in a few years the government will be utterly overthrown and wasted, and there will be not so much as a potsherd left for their wickedness in permitting the murder of men, women, and children, and the wholesale plunder and extermination of thousands of her citizens to go unpunished, which, okay, thereby perpetrating a foul and corroding blot upon the fair fame of this great republic, the very thought of which would have caused the high-minded and patriotic framers of the Constitution of the United States to hide their faces with shame. Honestly, I really feel like George Washington would have had nothing to do with you, buddy. But so now, Andrew and Chris, I might, I might be, I might just be going insane, but the United States government ever redress the wrongs committed against the Mormons?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well,
no.
The federal government, no. Local governments, yeah. They've tried.
But that didn't happen in the lifetime of Joseph Smith.
No, it's like recent, like within my lifetime and my parents' lifetime.
Essentially, it took them
100 years.
Over 100 years to say that the execution order, extermination order was so they repealed the extermination order in like the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
So
there's multiple people watching this right now who were alive whenever it was legally allowed for several people who are watching this right now. Whenever you were a kid, you were legally allowed to kill Mormons if you found them in Missouri.
Yes.
Because Missouri, by law, said that any Mormon is to be executed on site.
Or forced out. Yes, that was a state order, not a federal one.
Right.
So why the heck would the federal government have anything to do with it? I don't know. I mean, they technically did I don't know, they really didn't have a whole lot to do because the federal government wasn't super powerful back in that time. So they didn't do a ton. The state governments had
more power, but
right. The Civil War gave them more power,
right?
Just because they had, But I digress.
World War I gave them a ton of power. That was the big turning point.
The states had most governing power in there, and they still do, to a certain extent, have the most governing power in their borders. But the federal government is just much bigger. But neither Missouri nor the federal government redressed any of the wrongs that were supposedly, I won't say supposedly, there were some objectionable things that were done to Mormons. Like, do I think they should have been, exterminated? I mean, no, not unless there was like a real cause. I don't think that just because they were Mormon.
He was doing a lot more than just printing fake currency.
Yes. And he was in fact doing that.
Yeah.
But what's funny is he never stood trial for it because he left Ohio before they got the chance. And then he went to Missouri and then incited riot and then left and then had to go to Illinois. And then the biggest mistake of Illinois was letting Joseph Smith have a charter. But so all of these things happened. And the United States government's still here. Not only that, it was never defeated. Like, the same federal government was there during and after the Civil War. Like, it's not like the government had some sort of existential change insofar as like their whole makeup and everything like that. It was still the government. What exactly is to be understood by there will be not so much as a potsherd left? Like, what am I supposed to understand other than like the utter annihilation?
Honestly, even if you say that this was the Civil War, it doesn't make sense because it says in a few years. Unless you think a few years is more than 10. Because what Civil War is like 20 or 30 years after him.
Yeah. So after when this statement would have been made, because I think this was mid-30s, it would have been about 25 years after.
Yeah. So unless 25 is a few years to you, that can't even be the Civil War. And even then, the Civil War re-strengthened America. It made the Union stronger by the end of it. It's like,
so yeah, and not only that, but Jack Ray is correct. There were multiple United States officials, including presidents, who were vehemently opposed to Mormonism and passed legislation that was explicitly anti-Mormon. And nothing happened to them. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, anyways, so that happened. Let's continue. So that was the last false prophecy that I wanted to go over. Those were my 3 favorites. And I think that is the 3rd most powerful argument against Mormonism. What do you think, Andrew? Any closing thoughts on false prophecies of JoJo?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing to take away from this is when we've talked to Mormons in the last couple times about these prophecies that we point out, their go-to argument is, well, sorry, I shouldn't say the go-to argument, but they give answers, and we're not denying that you give us answers. What we're saying is we don't find the answer to be sufficient. And if you want to just settle on, then we just agree to disagree. I mean, fine, we can't convince you that you have to believe what we believe, but we're not denying that you gave an answer. We're saying the answer you gave is not sufficient to answer what's happening. Like this prophecy does not get resolved by your answer.
Right.
So it's, again, not all answers are sufficient. Just because you have something that you can answer with doesn't mean the answer itself is sufficient.
Right.
And that doesn't mean it's correct. It does, and you know, at certain points too, like there are going to be, you know, I think one of the guys was arguing that I was coming from like, I wasn't being open to the idea that Joseph Smith could be a prophet. And I was like, yeah, that's right. I'm not, you know, like I'm not, like I am working off of a presupposition that there are no more revelations.
Right.
Like I'm not a cessationist. I do believe there is, and this is a whole other thing, but like even my view today of what prophecy would be revelatory. It's not something that is adding to scripture. There is no more additions to scripture being done today. So because of that, I automatically believe Islam is false and Mormonism is false, because they both come in claiming new revelation that biblically isn't happening. So that's why there's a gap between us, because we have 2 different presuppositions coming into this argument that, you know, we have to find a way to cross that bridge. But no, like I'm going to come into this believing Joseph Smith probably did not make a correct prophecy. It is on you, or the burden is on you to prove to me that he actually was a prophet. It's not on me to disprove your claim.
Yet here we are.
Yeah. I'm very close-minded that there were no prophets after Jesus that revealed. I guess I should say after the apostles. There was no prophets after the apostles that revealed scripture.
Do you have the David Patton thing pulled up already?
No, I only included those 3 because I liked those 3 the best, insofar as they were the 3 that I was most familiar with going into it. Would you like to pull that one up?
Yeah, I can.
Sure thing.
So this is Doctrine and Covenants 114.1.
Oh,
I don't know if I can actually. I don't know if I can actually stream this at the moment with StreamYard. My internet
might be
is
better if
so
I try and pull it up.
dude. Maybe
What was it? Doctrines and Covenants. What?
114.1.
Let's see. Okay, I will pull it up here. What is it? Control S or Control Plus? Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Just ask how to zoom in.
I never knew how to do that until we started doing this. Until we did this podcast, I never knew
how to Control Plus. Anyways, this guy.
All right. So if you notice the date, that is the important bit there.
1838, April 11th.
Yep. So
you said just read the first verse here.
Yeah.
So yeah, verily thus saith the Lord, it is wisdom in my servant David Patton that he settle up all his business as soon as he possibly can and make a disposition of his merchandise, that he may perform a mission unto me next spring in company with others, even 12, including himself, to testify of my name and bear glad tidings unto all the world.
So this was given in April 11th. He died in October of that year. So he says that next year they will go on a missions trip next spring. So a year from now. He died 6 months later. So halfway through.
You know, he didn't.
He says, verily thus saith the Lord.
You know, he didn't settle up all his business and make disposition of his merchandise. So God was like, well, can't really have that.
It was conditional. It was conditional prophecy.
He had to settle up all his business and sell everything that he had. Give it to Joseph. And then he could go on a business trip. But because he didn't want to give everything he had to Joseph, God killed him.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
Right.
Yeah. So you have that. You have Jesus coming back in
1891.
1891, and then that's
56
been
years.
Over 100 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So at 56 years, Jesus will come back. Jesus did not come back. And it's been over 100 years since Jesus did not come back. So you have that. You have that the government will be overthrown, which I think you went over.
Well, part of it, but that's not the only prophecy he gave of the government being overthrown.
Can you go back to go 3 chapters before DOC 111, and it's 1 through 5. Yeah, this one is also one of my favorites.
All right, so do you need me to read any of this, or we'll get the context?
No, actually, go back up to the context. I was just going to read that real quick.
So revelation given through Joseph Smith at Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites.
August 6,
pretty funny.
1836. At this time, the church and its leaders were heavily in debt due to the construction of the Kirtland Temple and the persecutions in Missouri. Hearing that a large amount of money might be available to them in Salem, the prophets Sidney Rigdon, Hiram Smith, Oliver Cowdery traveled there from Kirkland, Ohio to investigate this claim. Along with the preaching the gospel, the brethren transacted several items of the church business. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So he was told, hey, if you come to Salem, I have gold buried beneath my house. One of the dudes at the time told him this, and then he received this prophecy.
Okay. I, the Lord your God, am not displeased with your coming on this journey, notwithstanding your follies. I have much treasure in the city for you, for the benefit of Zion, and many people in the city, whom I will gather out in due time for the benefit of Zion through your instrumentality. Now, hold on. is this God talking? Or is this Joseph talking? Because it says
that's
I
God.
That's
because
that's
it says
God
I the Lord
talking.
your God.
This is
And then he says
all
I
God
have much
talking.
Okay.
Yes.
This is a prophecy from God unto Joseph Smith.
Got it. Therefore, it is expedient that you should form acquaintance with men in this city, as you shall be led, and as it shall be given you. And it shall come to pass in due time that I will give this city into your hands, that you shall have power over it, insomuch that they shall not discover your secret parts, and its wealth pertaining to gold and silver shall be yours. Concern not yourselves about your debts, for I will give you power to pay them. You mean to keep going?
Nope. So, not only did he not find the gold, whenever he went there, the dude who told him about the gold fled. He just disappeared. And then he marched all of his people up to Salem to not get any gold, to not fix their money problems, because this is before they did the think bake, if I remember correctly. So they had all these money problems. They didn't know how to solve it. Then some dude was like, hey, I have all this gold. You can just come here and I'll give you my gold. And then he gives this prophecy, makes a multi-week or multi-month journey with his whole congregation. They get there. The dude flees. They don't get any gold. And then they have to leave. None of this happened. None of this prophecy happened.
That's pretty crazy. And especially because this was God, right? Like
This is
you can't
God
even
speaking onto him.
you can't even say, well, Joseph was just wrong. He just
This is-
got it wrong. No. This is God. I, the Lord your God, I have much treasure in the city for you. This is
number
God
4 as
speaking.
well. So number 4 is, it shall also come to pass that I will give the city into your hands.
the city into your hands.
Never happened. Salem was never owned by Mormons. So this is like 4 false prophecies all in one section because some dude told him about fake gold. This is just like Muhammad in the Hadith in the Quran. All the time. He hears something from one of his Sahaba and he's like, hey, I have a revelation. And then it doesn't actually happen. And it's like, wow. Or it happens, but because he forced it to happen, like Aisha in the wet dream I had a revelation. You were a child in a silken cloth and I desired you and I married you. Nonsense.
Perfectly
Absolute
rational.
nonsense. Nothing about that is true.
Perfectly
so
rational.
those are my 2 favorites, is the patent and the gold treasure. Because not only is it false, like according to history, it's also false according to their sources.
And this reminds me of the thing that Chase and I point out about the polygamy issue, but like this feels like this should be a nail in the coffin for Mormonism. I don't understand how you can read this and see. I guess their answer would be, God meant it, but the people stopped them. But like, if he says specifically, I will give this city into your hands, in the Bible, the only time we would ever see something like God would make a statement and it wouldn't come to pass would usually, if I don't even know if there are any specifically, but I'm saying just off the way I could understand it, would be if the Jews messed up. Right? Like if that would be the conditional prophecy. Like if the Jews failed, then what God commanded of them wouldn't come to pass because they didn't receive the blessing. However, I don't think that's applicable here. This is just very odd. Anyways.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of dozen other false prophecies, but we can move on to the next topic if you want.
Well, the next topic is that I would like to make time for a moment of silence for a young 18-year-old UK boy who was stabbed by an illegal migrant not last night and killed not by the police, but it was because of the police that he died. So, well, I have it, so I'll just read it. British police face a national backlash over the inflammatory case of an 18-year-old student who was handcuffed as he lay dying from stab wounds after his killer falsely alleged a racist attack. It's got the footage here. I don't know if it's copyrighted or what. It shows the police. The kid is on the ground saying, "Hey, I've been stabbed." And the police say, "No, I don't think you have." He's got blood on his hands as they're handcuffing him. And he's like struggling to get up. And he's like, I need attention. And then he dies. So his killer, Vikram Digwa, 23-year-old Sikh man, was sentenced to life in prison this week, having lied to the police at the time that Nowak had assaulted him in a racist attack.
This is getting in prison for it.
So the kid died. Yeah, but the stabber is getting kidnapped, is getting prison. The police officer should also be facing
of some sort.
Yeah, there
sort
should
of
be
legal repercussion.
There should be a punishment for negligence. That
Yeah, exactly,
somebody
because that's what he
died
did.
because you didn't react
Exactly.
accordingly.
What he said. Nowak with a knife. He was permitted to carry. Digwa stabbed Nowak with a knife. He said he was permitted to carry due to exemptions for Sikhs to have ceremonial daggers. Right. But yeah, the police stood on the kid's. Well, he didn't stand on it, but he kneeled on his back and arrested him while he
more
bled
blood out of him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
while he bled
they
out.
killed him faster.
Right. So, I apparently, so allegedly these two police officers who were there have been put on leave, and they have been made anonymous. Which, do I agree with the anonymity? To a certain extent. I don't want to necessarily endanger anybody's life, right? But I don't agree that they should be put on leave. I think that they should be actually prosecuted. Yeah. But anyways, so that's that. And I would like to have a moment of silence for him. All right. Moving on from that.
I also want to pray for Ash and his wife.
Oh, yeah.
We can do that now. We can do that at the end of the stream. But I do want to do that. Okay. I don't know if Ash is still here, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to be here for us to pray for him. He's going to get prayed no matter what.
Yeah, and you can pray that the UK just stops being this way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Lord, for giving us this ability, this opportunity to use the internet to speak the truth to people and to understand things and to gain clarity on all of these matters. Thank you, Lord, for giving us this wonderful ability to speak to each other across the world and to pray for one another and to have fellowship and communion and church everywhere we go, and not just in certain buildings, but that we can be a community together and strong. Lord, we lift up Brother Ash and his wife, that their little girl is going to be wonderfully healthy and strong, and that she gets past all of the craziness of the first 2 weeks. And Lord, we pray for the delivery to be quick and as painless as it can be, and that her mama instincts from the previous kids just kicks in and she just whips that thing out. And she's delivered quickly and safely. Thank you, Lord, for being with their family, for supplying all the needs that they have financially and spiritually and emotionally, for allowing them to have good sleep, and for the baby to be nursing well and growing and all the things that she will need to be doing, and that all the other kids are helping to adjust to the new baby. Thank you, Lord, for also the UK, that you are with them, that the spirit of darkness and evil and wickedness and all of the demonic activity that's happening there, because there's some neighborhoods that are straight up demonic hellholes. Lord, we pray for your light to shine, that you are emboldening the people of Britain and the people of Europe, that the Christians there receive new fire, fresh anointing, a fresh pouring out of your spirit. That there is pushback and fighting against all of this wickedness that the Christians of Europe have allowed in and allowed to sit there and not challenge and not speak truth to, but have just allowed to sit. Lord, we pray for revival. We pray for truth to win out in all of these situations, that there is justice and righteousness that is happening in all of these communities, that they are all coming to know you and have a relationship with you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right. So, moving from the morally objectionable behavior of the Sikh community, well, that one Sikh individual, to the morally objectionable behavior of Joseph Smith. To me, this is my second favorite argument against Mormonism. I don't have any references or anything for this because we've already extensively talked about Joseph Smith's shenanigans in other streams. But to just recap, the Kirtland Safety Society. So it was a fake bank that Joseph Smith made. He was doing some interesting monetary things behind the scenes. And then because things were starting to go downhill for the Mormons, he tried to print, and that is illegal. You cannot do that. So that was breaking the law and a morally objectionable thing. In terms of I cannot I cannot beyond reasonable doubt prove to you that Joseph Smith was doing more objectionable things with the bank. It's not like I wouldn't feel comfortable going to a Mormon with some of these things, but I can say that the Nauvoo expositor did accuse him of forcing people to buy land from him, which is not disputed. That's an actual thing that he did. He forced Mormons to buy land from him. And so I can only imagine what he did with his own bank, I think it's probably safe to assume that he was probably involved in some shady business. Polygamy, Doctrines and Covenants 132 very explicitly teaches polygamy. And not just that, but even while denying polygamy, he practiced it and denied other people were practicing it who were practicing it, and then denied forcing people and was forcing people. You can find all the evidence of that. There's a specific lady who was from England who was coerced to marry him. I can't remember her name. She was coerced to marry him, but she refused, and then they subsequently left the Mormon church. So
good for them.
Right. And that was back in the day too. So that happened. And then another morally objectionable thing would be his staging a rebellion against the United States government that he did when the Illinois state government mobilized its militia to apprehend Joseph to bring him to trial. Joseph mobilized the Nauvoo Legion to defend him. Now, nobody was ever killed. There were no shots fired in this exchange, but he did do that. And you can't just do that. So, that to me is objectionable. And he would have been totally fine not doing that. He could have stood trial. He would have gone to jail because he was guilty of the things that they were accusing him of, i.e. bigamy and polygamy. He was guilty of those things. So he would have gone to jail, but at least he would have gone to jail for those things and not also being a traitor. So that's that. I don't know. There's plenty of other morally objectionable things that he did, but those three are kind of the biggest ones. You guys have any thoughts?
Well,
yeah, the seduction of teenage girls is another unfortunate thing that he did.
Well, even by their standards, because people don't realize the 1800s, people's like the age of marriage was still around 18. It's not recent history that it became 18 to be normal. That's been the norm. Like 16 to 20 has been the norm for pretty much all of human history, especially for poor people, because poor people didn't have the like finances to just marry off super young. So other than like nobility, you didn't really marry off at like 12 or 14 or 15. So he married because you were needed. You had to work in the house. You had to take care of other siblings. You had chores. You made money for your parents. Like you were a financial asset, but you were not physically mature enough to get married. And they knew that if you gave birth young, you had a higher chance of dying. So they wouldn't, child mortality was so high. You're not going to have a girl that survived to adulthood, then try to give birth at 14 and die. That's idiotic. So they didn't do it. So he married a 14-year-old when he was 38. So he was 24 when she was born. He is old enough to be her father. And he married her when she was still pubescent. Not post-pubescent, but pubescent. Now, it's not as bad as Aisha and Muhammad, where he could be her great-grandfather, but he's still old enough to literally have raised this girl from diapers. He was about the same age I was whenever I gave birth to my first kid. My wife gave birth to my first kid.
There was Chris on the table.
Yes. But that's wild.
Hold my hand, sweetheart.
Dude, birth is a nightmare. Anyway.
Yes, Chris did give birth. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, if you've seen the short from today.
You saying that, I feel like that would be something that's in the Talmud. They're like, and Rabbi Moses ben Josiah told a story of a man who at one time had a large stomach and gave birth to a child or something. And in his case, the Sabbath was not applied on that day or something like that. Like
there's a hadith of the pregnant dude who got pregnant from the toothbrush.
Yes, the miswak. Indeed.
Well, is there any pregnant man stories in rabbinic?
Oh, in rabbinic.
I almost guarantee that is not the case. They do actually contain a discussion on spontaneous male conception.
Please read.
All right, well, it's after Islam. It's Alphabet Ben Sirah.
You should read some of that for us. Because the next, my favorite topic will probably take a little bit more time and just actually take a look at it, but this does intrigue me.
I'll say we are 2.5 hours in.
True, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 more topics to go through. If you just want to go through those,
one more.
Oh, okay, because the terrible stuff of. Yeah. I'll bring it up. It's Khayla 14b and Alphabet Ben Sirah, which is like 900s, if I remember correctly. Apparently in Targum Pseudo-Jonathan in Genesis 30:21, the fetuses of Leah and Rachel swapped. Causing Joseph to form in Rachel's womb and Dinah in Leah's. So they swapped the male and female fetuses within their wombs. And they also talk about, Adam and Eve. Well, Adam was androgynous. He has both male and female. And then he split in half, and it's actually in the Quran itself. Okay, let me try to find this stuff in Ben Sirah. Because it talks about conception in a bathhouse. for, well, Higa has a virgin who conceived, which is kind of funny. Chris makes an E what face? Oh, false alarm. Not super gross statement. Someone raised the bat S crazy symbol. All right, hold on. Virgin.
Well, while he pulls that up. Oh, sorry.
They also asked Ben Zoma, a woman is considered to be a virgin who became pregnant. What is the halakha? A high priest may marry only a virgin. Is he permitted to marry her? Answer depends on the following. Are we concerned for the opinion of Shmuel? Shmuel says, I can engage in intercourse several times without blood. In other words, I can have relations with a woman while leaving her hymen intact. If this is so, is it possible that the assumed virgin had intercourse in this matter and is forbidden to the high priest? Or perhaps a person who can act like Shmuel is not common, and he had a micro penis, and the halakha is not concerned with this case. He said to them, one like Shmuel is not common, and we are concerned that she may have conceived in a bath. Perhaps she washed in a bath that contained a man's semen from which she became impregnated while remaining a virgin, which is a legitimate thing. Then the Gemara asks, how could she possibly become pregnant in such a manner? Didn't Shmuel say any semen that is not shot like an arrow cannot fertilize? The Gemara answers, this does not mean that it must be shot like an arrow at the moment of fertilization. Even if initially, when released from the male, it was shot as an arrow, it can fertilize a woman at a later moment.
Our filthy minds. As if Joseph Smith married a 14-year-old. So you know that Joseph Smith married a 14-year-old, and then your filthy minds wander to her genitalia. Do you even know her name? I actually don't. But again, how do we have the filthy minds? That's not at all
what I was talking about, my guy.
How do we have the filthy minds?
Her name was Helen, by the way.
Of Troy.
That's like Kindle or Kimball or something like that. Her name's Helen. He married a 14-year-old named Helen. Anyway.
I digress.
Yeah, because he just married her to protect her, right? It's our minds that are going in such a negative
place. No. Of course not. Yeah. He would never marry a child. Like, he didn't marry
a bunch of teenagers. I can't believe this is the worst case of gaslighting I've ever seen in my whole life. Oh, you so... How come you're thinking about...
their claim is that... Their claim is that she was sealed for eternity, not sealed for the life of this world. So it was only a sexual marriage in the afterlife, not for this life. Which
it's
not any evidence for. That's like a trust me, bro type proof.
Exactly. Again, that's fantastic, but I cannot believe that you're talking about Joseph Smith marrying a 14-year-old and then saying that because we're commenting on it and saying I don't know about that one, that we are the ones with the filthy minds. Awesome. Sad.
He absorbed semen through her skin and became pregnant and gave birth to a son who was born already circumcised.
All right. So here we have the number one best argument against, well, my number one favorite argument against Mormonism. 'Tis the Book of Abraham. The Book of Abraham is my number one favorite, most bestest argument. What's up?
Oh, no matter. I remembered Alphabet Ben Surah is after Muhammad. I was like, Muhammad was said to have been born circumcised. This also has a kid being born circumcised, but it's between like 700 and 1000 AD. So I was just thinking that's a wild coincidence that you have a kid born circumcised. Yeah, it's not possible.
Right. That would be really, really unfortunate if it were possible.
He wasn't just born circumcised. He was born fully grown, highly intelligent, and circumcised. So he came out the womb as a full-on man.
Osar made it. We were talking about you earlier, man. Not in a bad way. We were just talking about masonry, and I don't remember who said it, but they're like, "Where's Husar at?" Anyways, so Abraham, amazing. I will now read to you what the claim of the Book of Abraham was. And I quote, "A translation of some ancient records that have fallen into our hands from the catacombs of Egypt, the writings of Abraham while he was in Egypt, called the Book of Abraham, written by his own hand upon papyrus." Now, what does this at least appear to be saying?
What I mean, it appears that Abraham went to Egypt,
right,
and probably got into some mysticism shenanigans, as
no,
they
but like
tend
just
to.
on face value, what does this what does this say? Like, what does this mean?
I witnessed some redneck gaslighting. I mean, my friend, my family is hillbilly Hicks from rural Tennessee who have Confederate flags. I've seen it. I lived it. Anyway.
So this is saying that Joseph Smith, now the Mormons will debate this, but Joseph Smith is claiming to have an original document written by Abraham himself. The writings of Abraham while he was in Egypt, written by his own hand upon papyrus. Now, people will say, well, the original was written by his hand. This is a copy of a copy, because there's no way it could have been actually from Abraham, because the papyrus wouldn't have survived that long, which is true. So it's like, there's no way this could actually be from Abraham. This is true. But I definitely think Joseph Smith thought that this was from Abraham. I definitely think he thought that this was straight from Abraham's hand and that he actually wrote that. Now, he would be right. It was from the catacombs of Egypt, what he got, because so essentially what happened was there was this traveling exhibit of mummies that was traveling through America, and it was coming through where Joseph Smith was at the time. I think he was in Kirtland. And while they were there, Joseph Smith was at heart a treasure hunter. So whenever he came across all these things, he was like, well, I really want that. And so he and the Mormon church at the time gathered up, I think it was like $2,500. He gathered up like $2,500 and bought the exhibit. I don't remember if it was the whole thing or if it was just the documents and some other stuff, but at the very least, he bought the documents from the guy who was exhibiting it. Now, to be fair, these are ancient Egyptian records from the catacombs, but that is about as far as this is truthful. It is not from Abraham. He did not write while he was in Egypt. The Egyptian writing was not exactly like that during Abraham's time. It's different. But that is the claim here. So this claim is that Abraham supposedly wrote this. We have the papyri that Joseph Smith actually used. So let's share this tab instead. Bada bing, bada boom. It was thought that this was lost. So they had the papyri. They thought that it had been lost after he translated it. And then they found it again in a museum in New York in like the basement. They found it again. I don't think that the church wanted it to be found, but we found it. I think most people thought that it had burned up in the Chicago fire. But regardless, so as you can see, this is the backing. So this is like, regular paper. And this is the papyri. And they glued the papyri to the paper. So that way it would like give it a little bit more sturdiness, right? It would make it better. And this is what they had. This is part of it. They had probably a lot more, but this is at the very least part of it. If you'll notice, why can't I zoom in? There we go. If you'll notice, he filled in what they didn't have with a pencil.
Yeah.
So if you see this looks like a dude and another dude, and this is supposedly, according to Mormonism, Abraham was about to be sacrificed by some guy. Now, we also have the dating of these papyrus fragments here on good old Wikipedia. The Joseph Smith papyri are fragments from ancient Thebes dated between 300 and 100 BC. Chris, did Abraham live during the years and between the years of 1 to 300 BC?
No.
Yeah, the answer is no. Abraham did not live between the years of 1 and 300 BC. It was around 2000 BC that he lived, even later, or earlier, sorry, that he lived. And so we would not have expected to see this dating between 3 and 100 BC. Also, Chris, I would like to ask, if this were a 1st century BC copy of the Book of Abraham, how come we don't have any other copies of the Book of Abraham except this one in the early BC centuries?
That is a great question. I mean, Islam also can't solve that problem because they also say a Book of Abraham exists. So this is the fulfillment of Islam. Muhammad said that there's a Book of Abraham in the Quran. I don't even think papyrus was used at the time of Abraham, because they were still just etching stuff into stone. Cuneiform was like the go-to. Like, Egyptian hieroglyphs were kind of unique, but it was all stone based. Even the tablets that we have that survive from the time of Abraham, because we actually have tablets that go back to 1800 BC in Hebrew in Egypt at the start of the slavery. We actually have tablets from Goshen in Hebrew, in Proto-Sinaitic, that is stone. That goes back to that time period, but it's not animal skin. Not only would that not survive, but they didn't do it then. They didn't have a way, because they didn't have ink of that form. Everything they did was sketched. It was chiseled in, and then you would fill it in with pigments, essentially like old paint. It was basically like if you combined cave paintings with some carvings and it made it more fancy and pretty. But they didn't have an actual ink that would stain paper because they didn't have paper, and they didn't have parchment yet, if I'm remembering correctly. So it couldn't have been. Google says it existed in 3000 BC, so maybe I was wrong on that side of it.
Let alone the sheer coincidence it would have been to have the Book of Abraham be not only found just before Joseph Smith would arrive on the scene, but be exhibited in America in Kirtland, Ohio, around the same time of Joseph Smith. The only known copy of the Book of Abraham is astounding. I'm not saying that God doesn't work miracles, right? But it strains credulity at best to say that this is like, man, it's even, to me, it's even worse than like the golden plates, because the burial stuff is actually real and people actually saw it, and it's actually fake and it's not the same. Yeah,
Abraham must use a Mossad time traveling machine,
right? He bummed it off.
Okay, I was mixing up parchment and papyrus in my head. Parchment is animal skin. Papyrus is the flattened reeds.
Reed. Yeah.
Yeah. Parchment is 2nd century BC.
Right.
And that does survive. Papyrus is way older. But it is not. This would not have survived to this point.
So here,
So I was mixing it up in my head for those two.
So here is here's a side-by-side comparison. I like this one the best. So let's share this tab instead. So here we have one. So, all right, just to be clear, what happened was there were a number of different facsimiles that Joseph Smith interpreted and labeled and used as interpretive means to convey what he believed was the story of Abraham being sacrificed. So we have here
the story of Isaac being
facsimile.
sacrificed.
You said what?
Isaac being sacrificed?
No, Abraham. Abraham being sacrificed by some sort of Egyptian mystical priest. So
okay,
here, 3, the idolatrous priest of Elkanah or Elkanah. Yeah. So this is Abraham here. Anyways, let alone the fact that he doesn't look anything like he does in the movies. This is clearly fake, right? But here we have, so no, this is actually real. This is the real facsimile. This is a real thing in real history. So,
and if you buy the Book of Mormon now, it actually has that on like the cover or the cover page on the inside.
It should. Well, the Pearl of Great Price contains the Book of Abraham.
Right.
But so here we have number 1. Joseph Smith said, "This is the angel of the Lord." Just a random bird.
No, somebody Canuck God made a very valid point. If you go back up,
head. Yes.
Yeah, I 100% that is Anubis.
Right. This is Anubis.
And then
it's
they just
supposed
added
to have this.
Oh, I didn't. I wasn't paying attention. I missed that.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is
yes.
Yeah. This is what it's supposed to look like. He drew the head on himself.
What a good drawer.
The head was missing.
Right. The head was missing. Part of his body was missing. So he had to draw all that in.
He's such a good artist. I put that on the fridge.
Exactly. So yeah, he essentially copied by hand what he saw, which, I mean, realistically, he was a better, well, I don't know. This jackal head is pretty, they had perfected what a jackal head looks like. Maybe not so much a bird, right? Not quite sure about that one. They got the jackal down though. Like that's spot on. Anyways. So here's the facsimile. This is not the angel of the Lord. This is the spirit of Hor, the deceased guy.
I believe.
So this is the spirit of this guy. So essentially, this is the story about how a person's soul ascends to heaven. So this is the guy's spirit.
Right. Well, Horus is the eagle god who is in charge of bringing like life. He's in charge of the cycle of birth and rebirth with his dad and his mom. So
yeah,
Horus is like one of the high Egyptian deities. And so he's bringing the dead to the afterlife.
Well, this says that this is the spirit of the deceased guy, the modern Egyptological interpretation. So while that is true, Horus is the god of all
who
of
has
those
the falcon
things.
head.
Right.
Is that, yeah.
Right. I'm assuming that's probably linked. Right. I'm assuming that's probably linked to why they would depict his spirit as being a bird. But
yeah,
I digress. So 2, this deceased guy, his name was Hor.
Visual naked.
3, the priest Elkanah. This is actually Anubis, who is embalming him, I guess, at the moment. A common funeral bier or lion couch. So essentially, this is what they would display the dead person's body on.
Mm-hmm.
These are a bunch of idolatrous gods, supposedly, which I guess isn't completely false. They represent the 4 sons of the god Horus, who are whatever. Idolatrous god of Pharaoh is number 9. That's actually the god Horus. Even
Number
though
9?
that looks like a... Oh, that's 6. Number 9.
No,
That's a
the one down
crocodile.
there.
Or maybe...
Yeah, that would be Sobek.
So why does this say Horus?
I mean, it looks like Sobek. I don't see the... I mean, granted, it's small on my screen, but I don't see a hawk head.
I don't either.
It looks like Sobek. The Lord of Seamen is his title.
It's crocodile. Anyways. Regardless, none of this stuff is correct. Whether it's Sobek or Horus, that looks like Horus.
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
The 5 looks like Ra. 1 looks like Horus.
Ra.
9 looks like Sobek. 8 is Osiris. 7 and 6, I'm not sure of. 7 being Happy is weird. But Happy is a hermaphrodite. Happy's head is just usually human, and he has boobs and a giant schlong. Because he's the god of fertility. So he has just this massive phallus and these giant breasts. He's blue. It's blue. It's not a he or a she. Anyway. Egypt is wild, man.
Here we have this other facsimile. We have Joseph Smith's interpretation.
He is in fact a
modern
freak, yes.
Egyptological interpretation. None of these are the same. He doesn't get any of this right. And this isn't just on this facsimile. Like, this is these burial things are found elsewhere. So they have stuff to compare it to in terms of meaning.
The Book of the Dead.
And so they absolutely know what all of this stuff means, and all of it is wrong.
The Book of the Dead just is like a guide on how to mummify bodies. So then it also includes some of the religious aspects to it, but it's mostly just an instruction manual. So you treated an instruction manual as a prophetic or a historic text on the life of Abraham.
Yes, you're right. The Quran does mention that Noah had 4 sons, and the Quran was wrong.
Yes.
The
Quran is pulling from Jewish sources there and Christian sources to say that he had 4 sons. The names within the tafsir are actually from the Jews. Specifically, I made a video on that if you want to go watch it.
Where did the Orthodox claim he has 4 sons?
I don't know. I've not seen that.
I don't either.
I wonder if it actually...
Sorry, is this another one of your Freemason mind tricks?
Let's see. What? Eastern Orthodox? Let's see. Orthodox believe
Yahudi
Noah had 4 sons. Yahudi. Eastern.
Universal history?
No. Google says no. What do you mean? No, the Bible makes it quite clear in the New Testament that only 8 people survived the flood. First Peter says that 8 people boarded the ark and 8 people survived.
I think he's saying that
taking the New
Noah could have had
Testament,
other
then-
sons who were not
Right,
saved.
they just didn't survive.
Right.
Which, that's a fair statement. That is fair.
The problem is the Quran
But-
doesn't say that. The Quran says that his 4th son was on the ark. Well, I guess actually
actually, there's a difference of opinion.
Yeah, there is a difference of opinion. Some scholars say that his son was on the ark and he got thrown off for doing the hanky-panky on the ark.
Mhm.
Some scholars say that he never got on the ark because he was one of
He drowned in
the
the flood.
non-elect.
Yeah.
Some say he survived the whole thing and was cursed with a skin of blackness.
Yeah.
So
they also say that of Ham as well, and that's also why the Hamites are fit for slavery, according to some Islamic sources. So the what's the word for Arabic for black? Could no. Let's see. Aswad, not negro. Land of the blacks is literally what they're called in Arabic.
Fazy, it's because the Jew who mentioned the 4 sons came significantly later than the Jew who wrote the 3 sons. I'm not sure what you don't understand about that.
Yeah, they can.
If our earliest source, Fazy, says that there were only 3 sons, and like 1,000, 2,000 years later, somebody said, "Oh, there were 4 sons," just because he's Jewish, we should believe it. What are you talking about? Like, how that's brother,
insane.
that's terrible logic. But he was a Jew, so you have to believe it. Come on now, Fazy.
Sudan means blacks, so it's specifically the land of the blacks is Sudan. So the Sudanese are the land, the blacks of the land of the blacks. Just, yeah. Anyway, so that idea was that Ham got cursed and he became the father of the Sudanese, and that the Sudanese and all the other black Africans were right for slavery because God made them lower at that moment in time. Which is also part of the reason why they're so racist. But the sources that go
Muslims?
over the
okay.
The sources that goes over also the Jews. But the sources that have the 4th son, one of them has that he's the one that taught Nimrod all of his magic. And that is within the Jewish sources that the Tafsir copy. So it's not in the Quran, but your Tafsir is getting the understanding behind your book from the Jews for those passages, including the names of the son.
Fazy, you're sounding like Joseph Smith with them prophecies, bro.
There'd be a war against Jewish people.
Fazy, I'm going to be so real with you. Yeah. That is the craziest dodge I have ever seen. Instead of acknowledging what we said, you duck and rolled. It's like you're in a moving vehicle. You open the door and you just ducked right out of that and rolled. You dodged you're like, oh, they proved me wrong. Oh, there's gonna be a war with the Jews. Hey man, that's not what we were talking about at all. You need to go and actually give an answer to what we said, because you completely dodged it.
That's like me saying that, hey, it's looking like another political figure is going to get assassinated in the next few years. I wouldn't be a prophet if a political figure got assassinated in the next few years here in America, because lo and behold, we're on a bit of a trend at the moment.
Islam and Mormonism are extremely similar, especially Joseph Smith and Muhammad. Like they're the best case for reincarnation existing I've ever seen. They could be brothers, especially because of how white they both are.
So, well, that's all I had on Mormonism. I would highly encourage you guys to like and subscribe and to continue.
Are you saying don't be afraid of war, or don't be afraid of this debate? What are you talking about? You dodged. You ran away from the argument.
Don't be afraid, you are Orthodox Christian.
Care. We're 3 hours into this. I don't care enough.
Anyways, like, subscribe.
Bro's playing Elden Ring right now, the way he's just dodging.
Comment.
The most unique thing between Joseph Smith and Muhammad is Joseph Smith didn't have a micro penis.
Are you sure about that?
No, yeah. Eastern
I'm very-
Orthodox. I think he
I'm
just
ve- I'm
meant
very Eastern.
Orthodox Christian.
I shave my head to enter the monastery soon.
Right. I
I'm
was
gonna say
also
the Jesus prayer like 90 times a day.
going to say that this Friday, so we're skipping our stream tomorrow and doing a call-in stream Friday. So
I will be on vacation.
Right. So Chris won't be here, but Andrew and I will be kicking it, as in the Disney TV show. And we will be talking to Mormons, atheists, Muslims. I'm not as well read on Jehovah's Witness, so I won't include them. But we will be more than happy to speak with any of those three people groups. And also, we still don't know what we're going into next. So there's that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it.
We will talk about that sometime this week.
So for those who didn't watch the stream yesterday, because you're not members and it was members only, I am going to be gone for the next week and a half. I'll be back on the 13th or so. So I am not going to stream again until the 15th. And I have 2 videos that are going to be uploaded. I'm going to upload a bunch of shorts, especially all the gay shorts for Pride Month for Islam, because there's like 6 or 7 questionable hadiths with Muhammad doing very gay stuff. So we're gonna post all those. And then I'm going to basically take a vacation and not write on a book, not stream, and not record videos for over 7 days. And it's going to be awesome. So this time next week, I will be cuddling up to some husky puppies up in the north. I'll be in the North Country, like the Jews.
Like the Jews?
So,
Oh my gosh. He's going to bring them back.
This is the proof.
This is
I
the
will
proof.
I'm going to the Arctic to go find all the Jews up there.
Right. We are going to enact another civil war to prepare the way for you again.
Oh, also, I saw that there was a census in Canada in 1831 that there was only 139 Jews living in Canada.
At all.
At all. So at the time of the prophets, there were only like 100 to 200 Jews living in Canada at the time.
Prophet Joseph Smith, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yes.
Bro,
so what? You think about
Fazy,
Jesus as never married to a girl?
Fazy, we're ending the
No.
stream. Why are you trying to? You still never answered the thing that we answered. You still didn't answer why the Quran claims that there are four children and why we should trust that over the 3 when we refuted your position of a Jew claiming that. We're not just going to start talking about the next question you had.
Was Jesus a gay?
Yeah, we're going to end the stream on that. I'm going to go ahead and
name that TV show. Anyways, bye.
it's not like Isa was married in Islam either. Anyways, bye.